Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's live. It's local. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Happy Friday. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers and Orion Sports Medicine. Round one of the NFL draft is officially in the books, and, we're just about a little over an hour away from coverage for round two, officially going to get underway in round two and round three, and everything else as the draft rounds up and finishes up over the weekend. Going to be interesting to keep an eye on how not just the Browns and Bengals finalize their rosters, but Kev, your Steelers, keeping an eye on them. Mm-hmm. They took, they broke an unwritten rule here. They took a running back in the first round last night, which actually didn't surprise me at all. I think everyone figured that that's where they were going to go. Would you have liked them to have maybe addressed the offensive line before taking Najee Harris, or is the line's not Bengals bad, but the line's it's not, as sharpened up as what you'd like it to be.
What they did with the limited resources they had in cap money, they signed like 3 offensive linemen. So there's only going to be one return. One return is a starter, and DeCastro is going to be returning as a starter. Zach Banner got hurt the first game of the season, was out for the entire year. He's coming back. And then somebody else is coming back from injury. So you got guys coming back from injury. So that's going to help the offensive line. The biggest part of the offensive line that needs the upgrade or needs to be replaced is Pouncey. He retired. So either they grab Creed Humphrey from Oklahoma, or they Josh Myers from Ohio State. Long as they get one of them.
Why Josh Myers?
He's the second best center on the board.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was a Buckeye-centric thing, and that's fine. That would be cool. I mean, of course, we're pulling for Josh Myers, but that's even more special just because, him being local, right. Him being a Buckeye, and, then I would hate him, though, if he goes to your team. If he goes to Pittsburgh, then I'm going to have a problem with
normally
him,
centers and guards really don't go like high in the draft and everything like that. Normally you see guards and centers go like in the second round. So you got the top 2 centers still on the board out there for the Pittsburgh Steelers to grab. So Humphrey or Josh Myers, get them.
And that's the thing. So when we talk drafts, we had Trey Wingo on earlier in the week. And, of course, yesterday we purposely didn't let buyers hear the full audio clip. But Trey Wingo said that he would never, no matter the circumstance, take a running back in the first round of the NFL draft. And, usually I would agree with that. And I think my stance is more, as we've talked about, I don't think you open up the vault to pay running backs, top dollar. I think that it's easier to replace running backs. I think receivers pretty easy to replace. Doesn't mean that it's easy and simple and that you're guaranteed to replace one great wide receiver or running back with another, but it is the easiest position, the 2 easiest positions, I think, to be able to find star players at. But drafting, I just think it's a case-by-case basis. I mean, to sit there and have one set of rules for 32 different teams that are all at different levels of where they're at within their rebuild or with where they're at, success-wise, to look at Pittsburgh, who has holes. The thing is sure, you could have risked taking a center or one of those top offensive linemen right away. Your line would have been more buttoned up, but then you risk not getting the legit big playmaking running back that you actually wanted. I had no problem with the Steelers taking Najee Harris. I figured it was either going to be the Steelers or the Bills that would end up taking him in the first round. The running back that went in the first round that kind of startled me a bit was Travis Etienne going to the Jaguars, who they have I forgot about the fact that they signed Carlos Hyde. So now they have 3 running backs. One's 1,000+ yard back. You have Carlos Hyde, the loyalty factor for Urban Meyer. And then, of course, you look a veteran too. Loyalty, yes, but the veteran Buckeye, for Urban Meyer. And now you look at that one for the Jaguars. I like it. You have a good run game now. You have your quarterback. You have some good receivers. I thought they did a good job. They're going to focus on the offensive line. They're probably going to take a tackle. I think Urban Meyer's team is actually more further along than what I thought. When I heard them breaking down the Jaguars roster and the additions they made in the offseason, they weren't any huge, sexy free agent names, but they were much-needed veteran names at some key positions, like at safety. They got some corners. Right. Their D-line, actually, they have a decent pass rush right there. They would like to add to depth right there. The Jags just don't have a lot of depth, but they are interesting mainly because because of Urban Meyer. If Urban Meyer wasn't there, I wouldn't give a rip. But they got their quarterback, they got their running back, they got some key core defensive guys, and they're only going to add more depth as the draft goes on. But that was the one that surprised me right there. That running back going in the first round.
I'm a huge Travis Etienne fan. I know like he's not like the guy that everybody was talking about this year because he was the guy everybody was talking about last year because he ran for 1,600 yards, caught passes for over 500 yards and everything like that. And everybody was expecting him to come out the draft last year and be like a third round pick, just like most of the other running backs last year. His gamble paid off. He made millions because he chose to come back to school and played it out this season. But the thing about him is he was utilized like a slot receiver this year because the offensive line for Clemson was average at best. I know we're going to talk a lot about average offensive lines here today on today's show.
I was purposely going to ignore that team. That fan base is on my nerves. And they're already actually, Travco, you're fine. But the other guys are already chirping. I haven't even mentioned a certain team who picks number 5 and made them fools of themselves. But continue.
But the thing about it is I don't like Travis Etienne for that team. It's like you said, they already signed the veteran Carlos Hyde. They already had the running back last year, James Robinson, who rushed for 1,100 yards and only played in 13 games last year. So like that's big time yardage. I mean, that's not the whole 16 where you're only getting 60 yards a game. Like he's putting up some pretty good numbers for that team. So I just don't understand the fit there for him. I would have liked to see him fall to a different team that possibly needed a running back like Buffalo or something like that. But the end all be all is Urban is stacking it with talent. And, they have the first pick of the second round. So, they're going to probably go ahead and develop some guys to be on the offensive line. You probably go ahead and get whatever offensive lineman is that
tackle from Notre Dame. Yeah, there's some really good ones.
There's a lot of guys out there. So you can go ahead and like you were talking about before we cracked the mic, it's like, man, these picks are almost like back to back. So it's like, hey, man, he was the first round. He was the second round. We got him either way. So I like it for the Jacksonville Jaguars that they're going to be taking care of their offensive line, taking care of their quarterback in the future and get them some weapons.
All right. So we made it 6 minutes into the show. I purposely was not going to bring that particular team up, but since the chat section is filling up, I have no choice. Let's go to the Facebook feed. By the way, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash presented by Kirkland and Summers and Orion Sports Medicine. We appreciate everyone who last night was cool. I really enjoyed doing that show live on Facebook and YouTube. And of course at 1410 Wing AM, it was our ESPN Dayton draft special. Shout out to Frickers for sponsoring it, by the way. But live picks were coming in. We would listen to the picks and we'd react right away. And of course, we ended the show perfectly. I was nervous that we only had the 2-hour slot. I was nervous we weren't going to get to the Bengals pick. Luckily, we did. But nonetheless. And so we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube, the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Head there now if you want to watch the show and leave your thoughts in the chat section or give us a call at 457-9464. So last night, the Cincinnati Bengals, we knew it was between Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase could end up being one of the best receivers of all time. He could instantly be the rookie of the year next year. Who knows? But the bottom line is I have never doubted the talent of Jamar Chase. My whole thing with the Cincinnati Bengals was prioritizing when you take them. So Jake Whiting right now heard what I said about your Steelers and the offensive line. He goes, so you have no problem with the Steelers taking a running back round 1 when they have 2 holes on offensive line, but the Bengals taking Chase no way should have taken a tackle. Jake, you poor Bengals fan, poor little dude. If you think that the Bengals and Steelers are on the same level as far as the urgency of the needs that they have, that's like the Bengals, you have one of the worst offensive lines in football. You added one-year piece in the offseason. So passing up on the number 1 prospect at the most needed position when he was right there for you to take, that's the problem I have. It's not like the number 1 prospect at offensive line was there for the Steelers to take and they passed on him to take a running back. There are a lot of offensive linemen who are now kind of jumbled in the middle because whether you want to believe it or not, the gap between Penei Sewell and everybody else, Slater, I think, was kind of separated from everyone else as well. Right now, there's good offensive linemen, prospects, possibilities. There's no guarantees. I'm not sold on any. I mean, again, everyone keeps sending me, well, the Pro Football Focus and all these draft nerds have put these little 35.7 and 98.5. They sound like FM radio stations. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they calculate those. I don't care how they calculate those because those calculations are used every year to convince you that every guy that is taken is great. And then sometimes the lower end numbers end up being better than the higher end numbers. The bottom line is when you get for sure home run picks that drop in your lap. Jamar Chase, number 1 number one prospect at his position. Penei Sewell, number one prospect at his position. Both needs for the team. You got to prioritize the needs. Getting a number one wide receiver right now makes no damn sense, especially when that position's easier to fill. You could fill it. Right now, you know that Julio Jones is going to be made available here within the next week or two. And then you look at all the free agents next offseason. There was a lot of good free agent wide receivers this offseason. The Bengals chose not to pay for them. They also chose not to pay for the top free agent offensive lineman. Then they head into the draft, and now now everyone's trying to argue with me about the needs of the team. Well, you've won 6 games in 2 years. Of course you have needs. You got to prioritize them. Taking a wide receiver to take the less talented. So Kev, 5 offensive linemen were taken last night. Mm-hmm. So now the Bengals have said they feel good about the 6th, 7th, and 8th best prospects now when they had the number one prospect in their lap. And that's the number one need that they had. Imagine if a team said, well, we're going to pass up on Trevor Lawrence, and Urban Meyer says, but I feel good about taking the 7th, 8th, or 9th best quarterback prospect when he had the number one prospect right there in his lap. Can you imagine that? Like, no teams feel good about that. When I have no clue why why you're comfortable, why you're trying to convince me that the 7th, 8th, and 9th best offensive linemen that you get to pick from now are going to all of a sudden be what saves the day. I have zero confidence in that. I have confidence in organizations who know what they're doing and know how to develop. Frank Pollock coming back, good offensive line coach when he has a good offensive line. Like, that's the thing. Like, you talk about Callahan with the Browns. Sure, he's good. But have you noticed, like, these offensive line coaches that we say are great? If you notice, they always have a great offensive line, though. They have great offensive linemen. It's not like it's not like you just feed them crap and they turn it into, a crap sandwich or whatever. I mean, I don't know, the saying. I think I butchered it, but you see the point I'm trying to make. It's not like these guys, you could just give them anybody and all of a sudden they turn good. Like, They have to have good offensive linemen. So gambling on, we'll just take 3rd, 4th, and 5th round guys and hope that Frank Pollock can work his magic. Frank Pollock usually has good offensive linemen to work with. That's not the case right now. Passing on Sewell was a mistake. I don't want to beat up on it too much today because I'm kind of tired of it and I'm over it and the team's a joke, whatever. Travco on Facebook, Kev, he says, the Bengals have a Ferrari and no garage to protect it. A tree fell on it. The car got fixed and the Bengals went on and got rims for it, but still no garage to protect it. I love the analogies coming in, by the way. I love that, Travco. Who was it earlier today? Someone wrote on my Facebook page, it was an awesome analogy. Now I can't. I think it was Spoon. He messaged saying that he used to be a car salesman. And he said that's like a family with 2 newborn babies or 2 kids coming in to buy a minivan, and they end up leaving with the 2-door sports car because it made them look younger and made them look cooler.
Got that Porsche.
That's what the Bengals have done. They came in. They needed to get just a family-friendly car to protect the family, to get the family from. Now they're putting 2 car seats in the back of a 2-door whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous. Stop, Bengals fans. You're embarrassing yourself. You are wrong. I don't care. I don't do the whole, everyone has an opinion. No, your opinion's wrong. The Cincinnati Bengals screwed up. The fact that the Detroit Lions, and this is me not going on a rampage about this, by the way, I promised I wouldn't, but here we are for 9 straight minutes. I haven't shut up. The fact that the Detroit Lions value protecting their quarterback and Jared Goff, the fact that Jared Goff is more protected in a bad organization it's embarrassing. It's even more embarrassing that you're Cincinnati Bengals fans who actually try to defend this. Jared Goff in Detroit is more protected than Joe Burrow coming off of a season-ending injury a year ago, knowing that was the priority. Once I heard it last night, I didn't want to believe it, Kev. I was like, there's a lot of chatter out there. The Bengals are going to do the right thing. You can't look at Joe Burrow go down like that last year and say, we're going to take a wide receiver. They took a wide receiver. And they're proud of it. You have Zach Taylor. It was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer taking Jamar Chase. I agree with you, Zach Taylor. There was no brains involved whatsoever when selecting Jamar Chase at number 5 overall. Jamar will be good. It's not the point, though, because if Jamar ends up being one of the best Bengals receivers of all time and Joe Burrow's not the one throwing it to him because he has another big injury next year because the line is crap, well, at least you got your receiver, folks, and I hope you enjoy buying his jersey because I hope you also enjoy maybe 5 or 6 more games of Joe Burrow if they don't fix this offensive line.
For me, I'm a reserved judgment because they had the 6th pick in the 2nd round. And as long as they come away with one of these guys, as long as they come away from it with Jalen Mayfield, to tackle from Michigan, as long as they come away with it from Eckenberg, the tackle from Notre Dame, or Jenkins, the tackle from Oklahoma State, if they get one of those guys with the 6th pick in the 2nd round, I'll have absolutely nothing to say. Those guys are real good football players. They'll be able to anchor that offensive line for years to come. As long as they come away with one of those guys, I won't have anything to say. But you got teams ahead of you that need offensive linemen. You know that Jacksonville's going to grab one of these dudes. So you go ahead just to say they go ahead and take Jenkins. Say Jacksonville does that. You got 2 left on the board that are real elite level tackles. Maybe the Jets will do it. But
by the way, thank the Raiders for taking a 3rd round prospect and taking him in the 1st round. So thank him, because you might get bailed out because of that bad pick by the Raiders. I will say that. So
you got the Jets, but the Jets just took their offensive line last year, and then they just drafted the guard. So they'll probably go with an offensive weapon or a defensive player for the Jets. So you'll probably be skating free there. What do the Falcons do? They'll probably go defense because their defense was a sieve last year. So you'll probably skate free there. Now, the Miami Dolphins, another team that went wide receiver in the 1st round, they're going to take an offensive tackle. So let's just say they take Jalen Mayfield, the offensive tackle out of Michigan. You got one left, Eckenberg, the tackle from Notre Dame, also from Cleveland, Ohio, by the way. So you look at Philadelphia. Is Philadelphia going to go corner? Maybe Asante Samuel. They need a cornerback. Maybe they're going to go offensive tackle because they need an offensive tackle. It really all comes down to Philadelphia. If Philadelphia grabs Eckenberg before the Cincinnati Bengals do, you're done deal. You're done deal.
I hope that happens.
You're done deal.
I hope
now you I mean, it's just as simple as that. So, hey, if you get one of those 3, I'm cool with it. I will be happy if I'm a Cincinnati Bengal fan. I will be like, look, man, we got the best receiver on the board. We got one of the top 5 tackles. We're good. You can skate with that. But if those 3 dudes are gone by the time you pick in the 2nd round, you don't get neither one of them, it's all on you. It's going to be the wrath of Kenner on Monday, and I ain't going to be able to hold him back.
And we've seen how good a job you do of holding me back, by the way. So again, right now, and appreciate everyone on Facebook and YouTube chiming in. And Jake Whiting, by the way, I do like Jake. Jake and I go back and forth on Twitter and Facebook all the time. I appreciate the fans that we can have that banter back and forth, and that like literally don't take it personal and threaten the lives of my unborn children, which happens on Twitter and Facebook all the time. So it is what it is. But I like Jake. But Jake, you're wrong. I'm sorry. Like, you seem like a smart individual, but this is bringing out the worst side in you. I just don't get it. But no. So when I said I had no problem with the Steelers, who needed an offensive lineman taking a running back overall, because let's say the Steelers don't improve the offensive line. It's not the worst offensive line in football, and it's not the best offensive line in football, but the Steelers were never going to fix every hole in this draft and in free agency because of all the cap space and everything else. So it's called prioritizing, and that's what the Steelers are doing. The Steelers don't have a Bengals bad offensive line. They have a middle-of-the-line offensive line, and they're hoping to fix that and address that in this next round, of course. But they knew that even if they have a very good offensive line, they don't have a run game right now, even with the good offensive line. So middle of the pack offensive line with Najee Harris, with the receivers, with Big Ben, with Mike Tomlin, with that Steelers defense. The Steelers were in a position to take a chance on taking a running back before touching the offensive line in the next round. When you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you have to protect Joe Burrow. So taking a chance, because you wanted to get the number 1 prospect at wide receiver, you passed up on the number 1 prospect at the most needed position. That's where I draw the line and say that's not okay, because not only are you impacting how you run the ball, now you are impacting how you protect your franchise quarterback, which, by the way, last night the Jets draft a quarterback with their 2nd overall pick. They trade up to get an offensive lineman. Right. The Chargers, Justin Herbert, who I've argued is better than Joe Burrow, not by much, but I do believe he is. What do? They value their 2nd-year quarterback in Justin Herbert. And then there's the Bengals, who are putting rims, like Travko said, putting rims on the sports car sitting in the driveway that had a tree fall on it. And instead of putting up a garage to protect that car, they put rims on it. Man, that sounded so cool. Good for you, Travko. I'm always trying to come up with some cool analogies. Travko came through in the clutch. So I want to read this to you. I got to find it real quick because where did it go? Because it was an interesting take. You people are bringing in stuff left and right. So Jake Whiting said, you are aware that Burrow had 32 coverage sacks, correct? By the way, these fans have no idea what any of this stuff means until they've read an article that defends the take that they have, which cracks me up. He says they had 0 separation. Now they got 3 great wide receivers to spread it out. So Jake, you are a Bengals fan, and I like you, but this is how the blind faith for you is working. You are letting people convince you that the offensive line was not the problem for Joe Burrow last year. It was the wide receivers not getting separation. That's why Joe Burrow got sacked 32 times, the 3rd most times in the NFL without playing the last 2 months of the season. It's the wide receivers why he got sacked 32 times, not the embarrassingly bad offensive line. That's what you were trying to tell me. I just want to be clear. When you hear that, what do you say? And by the way, he's not 1,000,000% wrong.
Right.
Jamar Chase, quick separation, get rid of the ball quicker. But you know how you can get rid of the ball quicker too? The different schemes that you can call plays for. Zach Taylor did a horrible job as far as trying to set Burrow up for success last year. So yes, Chase can help in that regards. But if you think the amount that Chase can help early on outweighs what Penei Sewell, an elite tackle, can do for you, there's not a whole lot I can do for you at that point. I just don't get it.
Yeah. When you have a quarterback in his first year, they do have a tendency to hang on to the ball a little bit longer than they're supposed to. They're supposed to, get through their reads a little bit faster and get down to the check down guy and everything like that. And all that comes with experience. It comes with reps and everything like that. But, yes, I believe Chase will help him out with that. But what will help him out more, and not only just him, help out the team more, because offensive lineman does more than just pass block. They run block as well. So you pay the running back a lot of money, so you might want to open up holes for him. You want to have a running back average. Your starting running back should average about 4.5 yards per carry, not in the 3 yard per carry mark. And that's what he was averaging before he got hurt. So you look at it like that, look at the long-term effect, and look at the fact that offensive lineman does more than just pass block for your quarterback. They open up everything else for everybody else to make plays downfield. And maybe those home run plays will be there if there's just a tick more time for him to hang on to the ball. I did want to go back to the Steelers point though, because not only did the Steelers get the number one running back on the board, and considering where they're going to be drafting, they potentially could be getting the number one center on the board as well. And that's also why. That's why, because if you're able to stockpile the number one rated person in their position at a spot of need, that only makes your team better. So, yes, Chase.
At a spot of need. That is key. Not just the number one, because Jamar Chase was the number one prospect at his position. Right. I will not argue that. But
yes, and they need a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. They need more wide receivers on that team. No question. But I think the offensive line needed more help than the wide receiving core. But obviously the Bengals felt different. And like I said, as long as they get Eckenberg, Jenkins, or Mayfield, I'll have nothing to say. I'll say it was a slam dunk. I'll say everything worked out for them. But they got to make sure they pick one of those guys, or those guys don't get picked before they can make a pick in the second round.
All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers and Orion Sports Medicine. Jake Whiting says that too, run the damn ball. Zach Taylor, don't drop him back 400 times. Okay. That's where Jake, that's where my concern was last year about Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor had won 2 games in his first season as head coach of the Bengals, and they weren't winning many games to start last season. And remember, I said this, my conspiracy theory, or my theory is that even though the line couldn't protect Joe Burrow, that there is certain ways you can call plays to protect your quarterback, like not dropping him back 40 times a game, for instance. But I said Zach Taylor knows the only way to win in the NFL right now is, yes, you have to balance the pass with the run, but you have to pass to win games in the NFL. So the only way to win games is to drop Joe Burrow back, even with that bad offensive line, because although there's not a lot of ways for the Bengals to win, at least last season, he knew the best chance they had to win was dropping him back that many times, even if it meant risking his health. But Zach Taylor didn't care about Joe Burrow's health, because Zach Taylor was like, well, if I only drop him back 20, 25 times a game, we're going to lose every single game. Sure, he'll be healthy at the end of the year, but I'll be fired and looking for my next job. Zach Taylor was coaching for himself. He knew that his wins were only going to matter. Of course, he only won 4 or whatever. But the bottom line is that I thought they did a horrible job of being able to find ways to call plays around the weaknesses, and why I don't have any confidence at all that they're going to figure that out even next year. And Frank Pollock, I know that Bengals fans in the chat section keep bringing up Pollock. I like Pollock, but if you're giving Pollock the same line as last year with another piece or two, you think that's just going to instantly make it like supremely better? I mean, even with the flaws that the Steelers line has, the Bengals line is not better than theirs, definitely not better than the Ravens, and it for sure is hell ain't better than the Browns. So that's the concern I still have. Like Cincinnati, that's why Penei Sewell was important. And Kev, I will say this, Riley Rafe, really good piece. Mm-hmm. You have him for 1 year. Then what happens? We fast forward to a year from now, we're right back to talking about the Bengals offensive line, because if he has a great year, he's taking big money elsewhere. And if he has a down year, you're still right back where we are right now. Right. So to me, Sewell made more sense, because you would have had him for 8, 10 plus years if he pans out to be who he's supposed to. Sure, we could see obviously their receiver and Jamar Chase pan out for 10 years, but we've seen that movie before. Right. We've seen the average Bengals teams with Chad Johnson. We've seen the average Bengals teams with AJ Green. We've seen that movie before. How about we see a movie where maybe the receivers aren't as glamorous as the Ocho Cincos and the AJ Greens of the world, but hey, they have an offensive line. They could run the ball. Joe Burrow can pass with the best of them, of course, and the defense is much improved. That sounds a lot more sexier to me than Joe Burrow running for his life, but hoping that he connects with the number one wide receiver in Jamar Chase. That's where I'm not going to budge on my stance when it comes to that. All right, Bengals fans, I created a 30 for 30 masterpiece just for you. Everyone knows I love making these 30 for 30s, and the name of the 30 for 30, we just can't have nice things. The embarrassing and sad story of the Cincinnati Bengals. If you are a fan of the 30 for 30s, I highly suggest you stick around. We have that coming up for you right away on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. Bengals fans, it's the 30 for 30 special produced by yours truly. We'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy and windy, a high near 66. Tonight's going to be mainly clear, also windy, a low around 36. And tomorrow's going to be mainly clear, a high around 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Napa know-how.
At Napa, you don't need to be a magician to pull 20% savings out of thin air. All you need is a bucket. Yep, you can magically save on 3 or more items with a $2.99 Napa bucket. So use whatever magical catchphrase you want, like Abraca Bucket, or Alica Savings, or Bippity Boppity Bucket, and save 20% today. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa Know-How.
Napa Know-How.
At participating locations, exclusions apply. May not be combined with other offers. Offer ends 4/30/21.
O'Reilly.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, for real.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is Ice-T and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
This is a cold call.
We're on a mission to get America to switch to cold water washing with Tide.
it saves you energy.
And that saves you up to $150 a year on your energy bill.
Plus, Tide cleans better in cold than the bargain brand in hot. So what are you waiting for?
Turn to cold because Stone Cold said so.
Turn to cold with Tide.
Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines. Performance based on Tide Power Pods versus leading baking soda packs.
We're a farm store, a feed store, a best friend store. We're a family store, a fun store. Look what I found store. We're a store made for real people and some real peace. We're a high neighbor kind of store and an everyday low price store. We're Rural King, and we want to be your favorite store. Rural King, America's farm and home store.
Your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is also the home for value. Frickers Everyday Value begins on Monday with boneless frickin' chicken wings, 69 cents each. Tuesday offers traditional frickin' chicken wings, 69 cents each. On Wednesday, enjoy a steak dinner for $6.99. And Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks for $6.99. Download the Frickers mobile app to receive loyalty points, free food, and order online. Today and every day, the home for everyday values is the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Mark your calendars, folks. The Home and Outdoor Living Expo is here. Brought to you by Bath Creations, Weaver Barnes, and Giant Factory Outlet. Starting April 30th and May 1st and 2nd, and May 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Dayton Mall. 2 great weekends. Talk to the experts for all your home improvement needs, including kitchen, bath, sunrooms, windows, siding, home decor, and more. The Home and Outdoor Living Expo at the Dayton Mall starting April 30th. Brought to you by Bath Creations, Weaver Barnes, and Giant Factory Outlet. Visit eventsllc.net for more.
Spending more time at home? There has never been a better time to invest in your home. There is nothing better than a home theater or high-fidelity music system from Audio Etc. Can't get to the big game? No problem. Audio Etc. can bring any game home. It's better than being there. 4K is amazing, but just imagine the 8K experience. Come to Audio Etc. today and experience 8K TVs and projectors. Surround sound? You haven't heard surround sound till you hear Dolby Atmos 360 degrees. Put you smack dab in the middle with 11.2 channel surround sound. Audio Etc. has the brands, the deals, and the excitement. Audio Etc. powered by Klipsch, Bowers & Wilkins, SVS, Marantz, Denon, Sony, and a whole list of high-performance brands that you've probably never heard of. Stop by and experience the crazy cool showroom, the top brands, excellent service, and knowledgeable staff. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom.
Save big today on your new Hyundai. Shop us first at Superior Hyundai of Beaver Creek.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, work day, play day, every day. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Save every day at Superior Hyundai.
Looking for a new car or SUV? Put Superior Hyundai of Beaver Creek on your shopping list and save. Superior has nearly 400 new Hyundais available, all backed by America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty and the Hyundai Assurance. But that's not all. Right now, 0% financing for 60 months is available on most new 2021 Hyundai vehicles. Save every day and every way on a brand new Hyundai. Shop us first. Check out SuperiorHyundaiBeaverCreek.com.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, work day, play day, every day. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Save every day at Superior Hyundai.
Excludes Palisade equals $1,667 per thousand finance with approved credit plus tax title and fees. See dealer for details. Expires 5/3/21.
Goodyear knows the importance of keeping momentum as you head down the stretch. Momentum starts with movement. It's pulled from the air like a contested rebound. Momentum builds with steals and fast breaks, and is proven by deep threes as the shot clock expires. Momentum is how we change the game, and now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven. It's time for some straight talk. Sure, saving money feels good, but cutting your wireless bill in half, that feels really good. Like walk-off home run in the 9th inning kind of good. Okay, maybe not that good, but pretty darn good. With Straight Talk, you can get 25 gigs of high-speed data for $45 a month, up to 50% less than the other guys. Plus, no contract. All on America's best networks. Why pay a whole lot when you can pay half? Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Whether it's next day delivery or getting involved in their local communities, Napa goes above and beyond to serve you because their motor never quits. That's Napa know-how.
The Reds are on the radio. Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, hanging out with you here on a Friday. Happy Friday. It's windier than I'll get out outside. Yeah. Beautiful day, though. Sun's out, warm out. A little too warm, though. That means Nora's going to make me mow the grass when I get home. So,
dude, my grass is like up
jungle,
to my
man.
Calf. It is growing like crazy, and I'm trying to make sure I don't get a sign in the yard from the city saying, "Hey, man, you need to cut your grass or you're going to get a fine." Like, but I don't want to cut it today because it's still a little damp outside, a little muddy out there, so I'm going to try to hold off until tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, I'm going to hang out at the office for a little bit after work and say I got caught up in something at work, and then when I get home late that I don't have to mow, that's how I plan on getting away with not mowing tonight.
Smart.
It's too windy to mow. See, it's coming out with it. All right. So, you know, I told you earlier, there's certain fans, even that we disagree, I can get along with, like Jake Whiting, because, you know, he has he uses common sense and he has a good sense of humor. And then there's other fans, like the guys I'm about to lay into here in a second, that just, they're the sensitive kind. They're the kind that, it's like when you tell them that their team's bad, and they act as if it's like the first time they've ever heard that before, as if they didn't know that the Bengals are bad. Jake at least knows that the Bengals are bad. And so we can, go back and forth, and it is what it is. But, the thing that's frustrating that, so by the way, apparently you are the voice of reason here. I wanted to throw this out there. This comes, let me make sure that people can read this better. There we go. Brian Hetzel, he says, thanks, Kev, for being the lone voice of reason on this show. I agree that we need O-line in the second and third. No, Brian, you needed the O-line in the first, but okay. He thinks that, there's plenty of O-linemen in the draft. You had the number one prospect for the number one need on your team. 5 linemen were taken in the first round last night. So what you are saying is rather
specifically tackle, they need tackle.
So 4 tackles were taken. 4 of the 5 were taken off the board last night. Okay, fine. So if we're going to shrink it down like that, 4 tackles were taken off the board last night. Do you think? And again, this draft may not be a great example because there was 5 quarterbacks all going to potentially go in the top 10. But no one is sitting there saying, man, I hope we could fall in line to get the 6th best quarterback in this draft. What team out there, when they have a desperate need, no team in their right mind out there prays that they can get the 6th best prospect or the 7th best prospect of their number one position. This is what guys like Brian don't understand, and this isn't the first time he's posted this. Like, he literally jumps on every one of my posts to try to remind me that he thinks he knows more about football, which maybe he does, but he doesn't know more about common sense, because common sense would tell you that the Bengals need an offensive line and that they need all the help that they can get. They are not in a position to gamble on taking less talented guys in the later rounds because, well, history tells us they can't. So, and I mean recent history, don't use something from back in the early 2000s or even the Super Bowl teams to tell me that what the Bengals are, they have some great offensive linemen in their past. Yes, Anthony Munoz. How many decades ago was that? Let's be clear. So, what team out there, when they are planning for the draft, Kev, says, I don't want we have all these needs. I have the most important need is this. I don't want the number one prospect for that need. I want the 6th best player. Oh, we need an offensive line to protect Joe Burrow, but I don't want the best offensive lineman. I want the 6th best offensive lineman. That's Brian Hetzel. You see how foolish you sound, Brian? I feel bad for you. I'm embarrassed for you. I don't know who your friends are, but if I'm them, I don't claim to be your friend. That's embarrassed. That's an embarrassing mindset. Who says, man, we need to address our needs? And by the way, wide receiver is a need, but it's not at the top of the priority list. Don't even try to waste your or my time or our listeners' time trying to convince me that wide receiver was so desperate of a need that you needed to risk Joe Burrow's health in 2021 just to get a wide receiver. By the way, the Bengals are known for always having wide receivers. It's not something that they struggle getting. So to act like you are so desperate to take Jamar Chase at 5 because we don't know when we'll have a talented wide receiver again. You just spent $40+ million on Boyd recently, didn't you? I mean, sounds like a waste of money to me. If he's not doing it for you, then maybe you did another mistake from the front office. Maybe you shouldn't have paid him that much. I don't know what to tell you. I feel bad for you guys. I really do. I really don't understand. So Brian goes on to say the Bengals had a great line in 2005, but Carson got his knee shredded. Things happen even if you have a great line. Once again, Brian, trying to be the smartest man in the room, coming up a little short. Here's the deal. Yes, that is very true. Quarterbacks with a great offensive line can go down and have season-ending injuries. But you know what happened when Carson Palmer went down, Kev, that game? Of course, it was in the playoffs, of course. And why were they in the playoffs, by the way? Because they had that great offensive line. Just saying. They were in the playoffs and one of the top teams in football because they had a great offensive line. And when Carson Palmer went down, you know who didn't blame the Bengals? You know who didn't blame, like no finger pointing was going? They were pointing the finger at your Pittsburgh Steelers, Kev. Remember that? They were mad at you. So they were mad at you. But no one blamed the Bengals front office. You know why? Because the Bengals had a great offensive line. They did their part. Nothing's bulletproof. There's no such thing as an offensive line that's going to keep Joe Burrow from getting injured in the future, but it's called insurance. It's called covering your ass. If you are Mike Brown and Duke Tobin and whoever's making decisions over there, it's called, we got to make sure we put a line in front of him, because if he does get hurt with the bad line, could you imagine, Kev, if he goes down again next year and they're doing jumping jacks and cheerleader moves because they took Jamar? Pete Rose just went down. Oh, no.
His leg.
Oh, his head.
His arm.
Oh, it's an ugly scene in here, folks. Pete Rose is down. He looks like Joe Burrow right now. He just hit the ground hard. The people are trying to pick up the pieces. Don't glue it together, Kev. Just let it sit there. It'll fix itself. That's the Bengals way, right? So Joey Votto's about to go down too. You might want to move that. So let's see. It's just a madhouse in here, folks. The wind is blowing. Pete Rose just went down. There's parts of Pete Rose all over this place. If you had to bet, how many pieces of Pete Rose do you think are laying all over you pick them all up? You good? I lost my train of thought. So my point is this, is when Carson Palmer got hurt, Brian, no one blamed the Bengals because the Bengals did their part. They protected him. He had an offensive line. So when he went down, you just chalk it up to it's football. Joe Burrow's injury last year, Brian, was not a football just, freak football accident. No, it was a freak organization, does not know how to value their franchise quarterback. And then what do? They take a wide receiver, number 5, a very good wide receiver, but they didn't need to take a wide receiver right there until you protect your quarterback. And then Christopher Schlop, he says, making fun of the home team again, shake my head. I didn't know this was 1410 ESPN Dayton. Or ESPN, Cincinnati's ESPN station, Kev. I didn't know that this was 1410 Wing AM Cincinnati sports station. No, this is ESPN Dayton. We don't have an NFL team. I mean, last I checked, the Triangles are no longer around, correct? We don't have the Dayton Triangles anymore. I don't understand why Christopher, I don't know when you were in school. I don't know how old you are, Chris, about 50, 60. When you were in school, did they get out maps and show you, do you know you live I see that you have the Centerville Elks logo on your Facebook page. Do you think that says Cincinnati Elks or is that Centerville? Because I think you have a hard time understanding where you're at. Oh, there's Bengals fans in Dayton. There's Browns fans in Dayton too. There's Steelers fans in Dayton. There's, for whatever reason, a lot of Bills fans. They hate me about as much as you guys do, just to be honest with you. But it is what it is. My ADD, Kev, I told you before, I had no plans of going into the Bengals stuff, but they started it. I had no plans of going into the Bengals insanity today. You just got
to finish it. Huh?
So last thing on this, I'm not making fun of a hometown team. We don't have an NFL team. Yes, there are Bengals fans here, and Bengals fans, I don't know wwhy that bothers you. If I tell you that your team is making a mistake, you should be agreeing with that because your team's making a mistake. You are defending a team that's won 6 games in 2 years, 12-3, and is about to maybe win 5 or 6 or 7 on a really good year this coming up year. Yeah. Please tell me I'm wrong. Do you want me to tell you that they're great? If you want that, go down to Cincinnati, where the radio host actually said, well, you just need an average offensive line to win. If you want that kind of content, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Okay, so Sean Boland says, man woke up and chose violence today. I mean, this is as violent as I get. I mean, oh, man. Okay. Jake, no, Mo Egger's great. That wasn't a shot at Mo. Leave Mo alone. Mo Egger, I like Mo. He comes on the show. That wasn't at Mo Egger. So let me just clear that up right now. Everyone knows I'm not about tension. I'm all about relationships and getting along with people. I have no intentions of burning a bridge with Mo. I like Mo. So there's that. Okay, Bengals fans, since I have you all riled up and you have me all riled up, let's just get to it, okay? Let's just get to it. So I love the 30 for 30s. I've worked hard on this. This is my latest 30 for 30. The Cincinnati Bengals. This is all about them, okay? I am excited to get to this right now. It is the we just can't have nice things, the embarrassing and sad story of the Cincinnati Bengals. Enjoy.
If the Cincinnati Bengals don't draft an offensive tackle, they should be disbanded and revoked from the NFL. They got to keep this guy upright and healthy. It was irresponsible what they did last year.
What if I told you that the Cincinnati Bengals learned nothing from Joe Burrow's season-ending injury in 2020?
Now Burrow, oh boy, clutching his left leg. Oh no.
With the number 5 pick overall and the best tackle available, the Bengals pick seems pretty obvious.
I don't think that there's even a question. When you have a shot at Penei Sewell, you take him and you keep your quarterback upright so that he doesn't get murdered every single Sunday.
But if Penei Sewell was sitting there, Joe Burrow's season ended because you couldn't protect him, and Joe was playing really well. To me, absolutely, it's a no-brainer. Protect your asset.
What if I told you that the Cincinnati Bengals failed Joe Burrow once again?
The Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase.
Oh, you've got to be f***ing kidding me. What a bunch of...
Hey, easy now. Easy. Voice guy, come on, stick to the script. Just read the script.
My bad. But seriously, what's wrong with them? Fix the O-line, man. Anyways, it's Justin Kinner's latest award-winning 30 for 30. This is why we just can't have nice things. The embarrassing and disappointing tale of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hold the applause. Kev, stop clapping. It's hard for the listeners to hear me with all the clapping that's going on in the background. There will be an opportunity for pictures and autographs later after the show, so I appreciate everyone who's tuning in and hanging out. So, oh, by the way, and Jake Whiting right away doesn't miss a beat. What if I told you that Joe Burrow asked for Jamar Chase? What if I told you that if the Bengals had a GM, they wouldn't have to count on their one-legged quarterback to make decisions for him? What if I told you that it shouldn't be up to Joe Burrow who they draft? What if I told you that Duke Tobin should have the smarts to draft an offensive lineman? What if I told you that the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals shouldn't be napping in his press box in his owner's suite during games? What if I told you that Joe Burrow had a season-ending injury last year, not because he tripped walking up a flight of stairs or he slipped in the shower. No, what if I told you that he got hurt because they didn't have a good offensive line? And what if I told you that the Bengals had a chance to make the offensive line better because they had $40 million in cap space and the number 5 overall pick with the number 1 tackle prospect available? What if I told you that all of that meant nothing and that the Bengals will be as bad next year as they are now? You started it, not me. Just saying. Oh, we're going to go to break? That's how you... Okay. Man, so Matt Sturgeon, he says, okay, that was funny. See, the last time I made a 30 for 30, it was UD. It was aimed at UD. Not willing to play Wright State, and that one didn't. That he didn't find that funny, but Matt finds this one funny. It is funny. It's all fun and games. It is what it is. Look. Bottom line is, people think that, like yesterday, Keith Byers told me, oh, you're hoping that Joe Burrow gets hurt. No. If I was hoping Joe Burrow would get hurt, I would be like these other people saying, get a wide receiver, get a running back while you're at it. Hey, let's get a punter in the 3rd round. No, I'm the one calling for an offensive lineman to protect him. And people are saying that I'm the heartless one that wants him to get hurt again. You guys are something. I tell you. I'm saying this after Byers is gone. I'm not going to say it to him when he's sitting next to me. I'm going to wait. Like I told you, I don't talk smack in front of people. I do what all cowards do. I do it behind everyone's back, baby. We'll be back in a moment.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Drive-by birthday parties, virtual weddings. In a world full of things you never thought possible, here's one more. Now you can get Allstate's quality insurance at an affordable rate. When you bundle your home and auto, you'll save up to 25%. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company, and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
O'Reilly. Don't miss out on Clean Car Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. If your car could use a spring cleaning, stop by for great deals on everything you need to keep your car looking new. Like Mother's California Gold Wash and Wax, just $4.99 for a 64-ounce bottle. That's a $6 savings. Visit the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts today or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Did you know that 3 Ohioans are diagnosed with oral cancer every day? Dentists are doctors of dental surgery and can recognize life-threatening conditions and treat oral diseases before they become serious health complications. Ohio Dental Association member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care. Ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association and American Dental Association, so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Hi, my name is Brian Summers, and I'm an attorney with Kirkland & Summers. We are a law firm dedicated to divorce and family law. We have 2 locations serving Miami Valley, one near Austin Landing and the other in Troy. Remember, we're not part-time divorce and family lawyers. We're full-time here for you.
Kirkland & Summers, trusted and experienced, a family law practice dedicated to serving you. Visit them online at kirklandandsummers.com. That's Summers with an O, kirklandandsummers.com.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring owner-operator and fleet owners. Dedicated home daily round-trip lanes. That's right, round-trip, get paid for all miles, 100% no-touch freight. Cordell is offering great pay, a discounted fuel program, and free on-site truck parking, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus per truck. Take advantage of the dedicated round-trip miles, sign-on bonus, and home every day or every other day. Go online to CordellTransportation.com to apply today. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
All right, we've got lucky caller number 4, Marcus, on the line. If he answers this question, he wins a new car.
Let's do this.
Okay, for a new car, name the only actor to appear in...
And now a message from our sponsor.
With 24/7 support and quick and easy claims, Progressive protects what matters most. Progressive.
Films all in the same year.
Wait, sorry, I didn't hear the question.
3 seconds, Marcus.
Yeah, no, but there was an ad in the middle.
You didn't answer.
But I didn't hear anything.
Oh, Marcus, you dropped it in the dirt.
Progressive. There's never a bad time for great protection. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
Nissan believes you deserve a car that thrills you. So we have to ask, does your car thrill you? When you hit the pedal, do you get something back? A chill in your spine, goosebumps on your goosebumps. When you take off, do your fingers tighten around the steering wheel? Does your heart beat in your stomach? stomach and your breath catch in your chest? Does driving make you feel alive? Because it should. And if your car doesn't thrill you, ours will. This is the new Nissan.
Hoffman Turf wants to enhance your property. Hoffman Turf, a locally owned company in Beaver Creek, offers professional lawn care, landscape maintenance, and weed and pest control. We understand your lawn is your investment and strive to give you the most value for your hard-earned money. Let us help you achieve a beautiful, thick, green lawn. Sign up today for fertilization and weed control and save 50% off the first application and 5% off the entire season when you prepay. Schedule today online at hoffmanturf.com. Hoffman Turf, professional, dependable, affordable.
In a world full of things you never thought possible, here's one more. Now you can get high-quality auto insurance from Allstate at a new low rate. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
So wrong. All right, and we are back. People, listen. I know I act a certain way, so when I act a certain way, I deserve some responses. It don't bother me. If it bothered me, I would have tried to be nicer to people a long time ago. But as I've said before, if I tried to look, I'm not good at making everybody happy. Ask my fiance, ask my parents, ask family, friends. I mean, I'm very good at upsetting everybody. So I thought that it would be like, for me, it's, I don't know. If I got upset every time someone said something mean about me, I would have quit this job a long time ago. But you know what? I am pretty good at this job. This show does really, really well. I don't care if I sound cocky and arrogant. I'm really not confident in anything I do in life outside of this show. So when I get tweets like this, I chuckle. Because I don't even know what his name is. Nick Beaching, and he decided to beach to me. He said, "I'm a god awful listen. Gotta love the fans." He says, "Being controversial and argumentative for the fun of it." I didn't know that saying that the Bengals were bad was controversial. I thought he knew. This is why I keep wrapping my head around, like, what are these people wanting to hear? Do you want me to say that they're good? Anyways, when they're good, I will tell you that they're good. He goes on to say he thinks that is what the big time guys do. I don't care what the big time guys do. If I wanted to do what everyone else is doing, I would just tell you that the Buckeyes are great, which the Buckeyes are good. Oh, that the Bengals are good, that the Browns are good, that the Buckeyes are good, that the Reds are good because they're fighting their little hearts out and everything would be rainbows and butterflies and sunshine and freshly cut grass and everyone would get along. Stop. When teams are good, I say they're good. When they're bad, I say they're bad. I'm not going to pretend to be someone I'm not just to appease guys like Mr. Beaching, who's beaching a lot right now on social media. He goes, small town joke, saying stupid crap about the Bengals yet again. Turning you off, find a new career. Do you have any advice on what career I would be? I'm 5'5", not very athletic. I'm not very skilled at anything else. I talk. I've always been a talker. This is what I do. If when I get fired from here, I have no clue. I have no clue what my next gig is going to be. I have no clue what my next gig is going to be. But the bottom line is I'm not going to please everybody. I appreciate everyone who does listen. So just know that if you say something mean to me, I'm not going to lose sleep about it at night. But everyone who does say nice things, I do appreciate that too. I don't need you to like me. I just need you to listen to me. And believe it or not, you listen and watch a lot of people you don't necessarily like. I'm just saying. So just throwing that out there to individuals. How about this one? Dustin Arp. He says, what if I told you that there are still 7 picks to be made? What if I told you that this draft is insanely deep as far as offensive linemen? What if I told you that Frank Pollock was brought back? Dustin Arp goes on to say, what if I told you that Reef was signed? And then he goes, what if I told you that you are a moron? Listen, Dustin, and then bless his heart, where did he go? Jake Whiting said, Dustin Arp, you were good until you called him a moron. See, this is why I like Jake. He comes to my defense. I appreciate that. Jake, it's fine. I am a moron. Look, let's be honest. Look, it is what it is. I learned a long time ago, if I try to make people like me, they like me even less. So I'd rather just be me. And if it makes people upset in the process, like Mr. Dustin Arp, who's getting all caught up in this. Yes, I know that there are 7 more picks to be made, but common sense tells you that the best players are taken at the beginning of the draft. So why not take the best player at the number 1 need you have to guarantee that you fix your number 1 need, as opposed to taking the number 1 player at another need that should not have been prioritized ahead of the offensive line. Dustin Arp, you are not wrong, though. There are more picks, and who knows? They could end up picking an offensive lineman, Kevin, in the 6th round, and they could pick an offensive lineman in the 2nd, 3rd, and maybe throw one on for good measure in the 7th round, and that 7th round guy could end up being a Pro Bowl Hall of Famer, you know?
Right.
Like, that's the thing about the draft you don't know. But that's the thing about the draft is a lot of those guys that hit late in the draft, I'm not saying, me and you differ on this, I shouldn't say that there's no skill to the draft. There absolutely is. There's so much homework that goes on. But every pick from probably 3 on, it's all just hope. The whole draft is kind of hope, but you feel more confident about your 1st and 2nd round picks more so than you do 3rd through 7. So to act as if the guy that we draft in the 5th or 6th or 7th round that we know, oh, we're really happy about this guy. A lot of those guys are just, you see something in them that maybe you can work with something. Maybe you can coach that guy up. That's what those, so a 7th round pick could end up being your best player out of picks 1 through 7. That can happen. But nobody knows that. You don't know that until it happens. It's not like when the draft is done, we got a Pro Bowl Hall of Fame offensive lineman in the 7th round. You don't know that. And to be fair, had they taken Sewell, you don't know that Sewell is going to be a future Pro Bowl tackle, future Hall of Famer, and all that type of stuff. But again, when you talk about the players who were positioned, the number 1 prospect, you know, if you want to talk about college recruiting, why isn't Ryan Day going out and drafting or recruiting a bunch of no stars and 1 and 2 stars, Kev? I mean, can he have the same mentality of, well, I'm sure there's diamonds in the rough? No, they go after the 4 and the 5 stars. Why? Because that's who the best players are. No one goes out there and says, I'm going after 2 stars only. If you're going after 2 stars only, it's because the 4s and 5s don't want you. Okay. So choosing to better your team with the pool of less talented players versus improving your team with the deeper pool of all the talented guys, that's a gamble that I don't think they're in position to make. So Dustin, I agree with you. I especially agree with you when you said I was a moron. I am a moron. I agree with you that there are 7 more picks, and I do acknowledge the fact that they signed Riley Reif. But Riley Reif can be a Band-Aid for 1 year. My concern is Riley Reif really took off last year, Kev. Mm-hmm. And because he had that one really, really good year, he had not strung together enough seasons to be looked at as one of the top tackles that is going to make big money in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like what we saw. So he had to sign a 1-year deal. He wasn't going to sign a multiple-year deal with the Bengals and make, less money. He's counting on coming to Cincinnati by going to a bad offensive line and then proving what he can do on a bad offensive line. Then he's going to be in position to make the real dollars. The concern is that I have no faith in the Bengals with that is that even if he turns to Cincinnati, and let's say he gives up 1 hit to Burrow all year, that's fantastic. That'll be huge for Joe Burrow in 2021. But what's going to happen, Kev, is now Reif is going to turn to Mike Brown and company and say, I protected your quarterback. I did my job to the highest of levels. I would like to be paid like the other top tackles in the league. Right. And then you know what's going to happen? He's going to move on. That's why I'm not a big fan of the Reif signing, is because now if the Bengals had a history of paying linemen, and I felt that if he had a good year, that the Bengals would be good enough to extend or to re-sign him for more money. We just know that's not going to happen. He wouldn't sign Joe Thuney. He wouldn't sign Zeitler. Like the Bengals would not go after those guys. So that's why I'm explaining myself in a much calmer way that even guys like Dustin Arp can understand. So I don't think I'm that far off on that. My concern is that even if Riley Reif ends up panning out, it's good for 1 year, but at least Penei Sewell you would know that's tough to find a legitimate tackle like that. And if he pans out, Kev, you would have him for the next. I mean, throughout the whole journey of Burrow's career, right, you would have him. And let's say Jonah Williams pans out. Now you can interchange them. Now they're both locked in. Your tackles are set, and you have a good center. Now you're just working. You're going to rotate some guards in and out over the next 10 years of Joe Burrow's career. So I know I could be obnoxious and come at you hard, but I explained that very calmly. Am I wrong on that? I use very good reasoning and logic, mainly because even if Riley Reif, what the hell is his name? Reif or Reif? Reif. I think called him Reif and Reif, Reif, whatever. Reefer. Reefer. even he can have a great year. I actually have confidence that he will have a great year. And I'm not going to do the whole, I was wrong. If Riley Reif ends up playing God, what is my problem today? Riley Reif ends up playing well. I'm not going to say I was wrong. I've acknowledged that he is good. I don't think he's the best. I think he's good. But I also acknowledge that when he is good and it comes time to, he signed that 1 year, he's going to want more money. And the Bengals won't give it to him. And then a year from now, we'll be right back here saying, well, gee, by golly, what tackles can the Bengals get in the second, third, and fourth rounds again? Don't you want to close that door? Bengals fans, hear me out. Don't you want that door to close? Like, I'm a Browns fan. I'm so sick of the quarterback talk every year when it comes to the draft. I was actually last night bored after the Bengals pick. I was joking with a buddy of mine, Brady. I was talking to him after. I was like, man, I hate when the Browns are good. When the Browns are good, it ruins the draft. When the Browns are good, like, who cares? They're picking number 26. I could barely stay up to watch their pick. I was like, and who cares? They got a good guy. I didn't care about it. I'm like, this team's good. This adds depth, whatever, but I didn't care. So that's where I'm at. I can relate. I'm tired of talking about quarterbacks in Cleveland. Baker's provided a little sense of relief that we don't have to worry about a quarterback for a while. Don't you guys want that? Penny Sewell would have provided that. And don't say that they could potentially address that in these later rounds. The later in the draft you go, you're dealing with a pool of less talented players than what you would have had access to start. And you have the number one player prospect at the number one position of need, and you let it go. I just think that you would want to put an end to that cycle. And the best way to shut me up is to put an offensive line in front of Joe Burrow. I'm just saying. Talking about gambling. Hoofa. All right. Hour one in the books. Kev is playing the music to tell me to shut up and go to break. So we're going to go to break. Hour one in the books. Hour two coming up. 457-9464. That's the number you can call in and jump in on the conversation. If you want to listen to one of the worst radio hosts in the country, I suggest you sit back for a few more minutes and hang out with him when you come back. Kev, you're good. I don't mean to bring you down with me. I'm a moron, apparently. I'm a lot of bad names that have been called to me today, and I'm going to own it. I'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
There's been a lot of talk about the chicken sandwich wars lately, but only Lee's Chicken Sandwich is made famous. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, homestyle happens here with our chicken sandwich combo for only $5.99. You'll get a fresh, never frozen chicken breast in your choice of famous recipe or spicy, topped with chipotle ranch and pickles on a brioche bun, all served with a regular side and drink. Get a taste of fame with our chicken sandwich combo for only $5.99. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Today, I'm going to surprise my girlfriend of 5 years with something great for her birthday. A scented candle. I'm talking a good scent, like lavender. Not something lame like pine. I've been building this gift up too, telling her it was going to be something special. She made a joke about me knowing her ring size, and I played it off like she was on the right track. I even mentioned that her parents were fully on board with the one I picked out. She's going to be so surprised to get this candle.
Maybe clueless boyfriends just need a Snickers. Snickers satisfies.
With Mother's Day around the corner, now's the time to visit JCPenney's Friends and Family Sale. Get up to 50% off amazing brands she'll love, like Liz Claiborne and Exertion Activewear. Shop gifts from apparel and swimwear to ultra-comfy robes. Plus, save even more with an extra 30% off coupon. Celebrate the woman who does it all. JCPenney. Offers and coupons valid through 5/2. Some exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Find your style with Patriot Lighting. Come check out Menard's great selection of outdoor lighting and brighten your home today. The Santa Fe Outdoor Wall Light gives a classic look, while the Temple Outdoor Wall Light adds timeless elegance. Find your style and save 11% on all outdoor Patriot lighting. Get 11% off everything now at Menard's. Good through May 1st. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Are you one of the millions of homeowners who haven't refinanced yet? If so, I'm here to tell you it's not too late. Hi, I'm Wesley Hogan with Westland Financial. Although the lowest rates may be in our rearview mirror, as the economy recovers from the biggest economic shock of our lifetime, rates still remain near historic lows. In fact, with the dramatic increase in home values, this may be the perfect time to put that new home equity to work. Take advantage of our cash out refi program and pay off high rate credit cards, car loans, or other high interest rate debt. or finally make those home improvements you put on hold for so long. Best of all, we can do this with no closing costs. That's right. Whether it's a conventional, FHA, or VA loan, we'll pay for your title, settlement, lender, and recording fees. So call Westland at 888-455-3669. That's 888-455-3669. It's the biggest no-brainer in the history of mankind. 888-455-3669.
Paid for by Westland Financial. NMLS number 3304. Not all loans apply. Equal housing lender.
Unlimited audio streaming is yours with Audible Plus. Enjoy thousands of select Audible originals, audiobooks, podcasts, and more. Sign up for a free Audible Plus trial at audible.com.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers.
I tell you what, I appreciate the listeners, man. I literally, I can't keep up with all the comments that keep coming in on the side. So during the break, I get to catch up, and I'm like losing my beep, laughing at these people. I mean, you guys are hilarious. I'm telling you. And no, I'm not being a smartass. Like, I mean, let's go to Ron. Let's start with Ron. Ron says, Kev, Justin, why do you waste your time trying to explain the needs that they need? Let them find out for themselves. It will show instant results. I'm with you on this topic. Go Bucks. But he doesn't mean go Bucks as in OH. He's the Buccaneers fan. But his team has a good O-line. He knows the importance of that. So there you go. Matt Sturgeon says, Justin, you used
Ron the champion.
Yeah, but how about Sturgeon? He says, Justin, you used to piss me off, but I have learned to appreciate your show and love when Kev is the voice of reason. So you are the voice of reason. You have been annoyed as the voice of reason.
Well, even kill, man. Even kill.
And then how about Ann? Ann, I remember Ann she used to send messages all the time about things she didn't like about me and the way I hosted the show. And then one time I made a very rude comment to her on the air because that's what Kinner does. I remember you were even like, oh, Kinner, come on now. That was a little over the top. But Ann was awesome enough to we talked after the show, and now she's one of our biggest fans and biggest listeners. I love Ann. Ann goes, I love it. The 30 for 30 at its best. And it's sports talk radio, people. We all don't have to agree or get along, just have to participate. Ann gets it. What's that, Dan Levitch? You don't get the show. Ann gets the show. It's not even getting the show. It's just understanding the format of sports talk. Like to act, and that's what drives me nuts with some listeners, not all, some listeners will only listen to a show if they tell you what you want to hear. Mm-mm. And I don't understand that.
For affirmation.
Yeah, there are some hosts out there who will have a watered down opinion that is not theirs, but they know it's yours, and they'll tell you what you want to hear. And I did that at the beginning. When I first started, I was like, okay, I don't even like how I'm coming across. I wasn't comfortable doing the show that way. I'm not saying certain things to tick people off just on purpose. I have a natural gift of ticking people off. I believe it or not. You know how many times I get accused of, oh, you're just saying that to get people fired up? No, I actually really do think this way. There's not one thing I say on this show that I don't truly believe. People think I'm just making stuff up about why the Bengals are bad. I'm like, they've won 6 games in 2 years. I'm not making it up. Like, it's the reality of it. But shout out to Ann. I appreciate it. She also says, and Justin Fields will thrive in Chicago. We didn't even get to all that. We didn't even get to all that. So we got all that coming up here in hour 2. But 457-9464. Let's go to Chris in Centerville. Chris, how are you? Welcome.
Justin, Kevin.
What up?
Can I just have a minute here, okay?
Yeah, don't cuss. You can say whatever you want. You can call me names. Just make sure they're FCC approved, okay?
Well, I'm going to try to do this without cussing because I feel like I could just keep cussing all night.
At me?
The Bengals fans are mad at you. Oh. I'm a Bengals fan myself. The reason we're mad at you, Justin, is because you're right. And let me tell you why you were right. It was about pick 15, right after the stupid New York Jets took their quarterback and traded up for some protection for him and got their left tackle. Or how about Rashawn Slater falling to 12 and protecting Justin Herbert, who was better than Burrow last year? How about that? That's when we knew we messed up. Okay, now what? Now we're going to say, oh, this is so deep. The O-line is so deep. Yeah, as deep as when we took Billy Price because the Lions jumped up and took Frank Ragnow, right? Or how about Cedric Ogbuehi? Or how about stupid Jonah Williams who sucks? Okay? We don't find guys like that because our front office sucks. We don't want to protect Joe Burrow because we think he can throw from his damn back. Okay? This is why we're so mad at you, because you're right. You see teams like that with good quarterbacks protecting them, and the Bengals want to go get a receiver when they got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. And by the way, Elijah Moore and Rondell Moore is sitting right there, and they both just ran 4 threes. You don't think they'd have been complimentary?
I think they could separate. I don't know. I think they could separate.
Think so? That's like Tyreek Hill fast. Does he get separation? I mean, Jesus Christ. This franchise, and what's worse is these fans. We're stupid. I better get off here before I start cussing, Justin.
Chris, I want you to call back at a time that your blood pressure, I can relate to you. Your blood pressure seems as high as mine at times. I appreciate everything you just said. I thank you, and I can't wait for when you call back and when even, when calmer heads prevail. Oh.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris.
I'm not going to lie. When he had that anger to start, I'm like, oh, this is so coming at me. But he's a very smart caller.
I had my finger on the dump button.
So he said,
ready. I was locked and loaded.
So Chris from Centerville, I'm assuming it's not Christopher Schlapp from Centerville. I'm assuming this is a much smarter Chris from Centerville, because he actually said, the reason Bengals fans hate me, Kev, is because I'm right. I like that caller. And no, I did not. I don't even know who that is. I didn't text a friend and say, call in and say something nice about. That was a very smart Bengals fan. Not many of them. There are a few out there. Good for him. Good. Just get it all out. But he did bring up a couple good points that I angered fans with last night when I said, you look at the Jets weren't and by the way, I've always used the Browns as an example of what not to do, even during this stretch of them doing a lot of good things, Kev. They got so when they got Baker Mayfield after his rookie year, he didn't start, he didn't come in until game 3 against the Jets. They were trailing in the first half. It was just absolute garbage. He comes in about the first possession or the last possession of the first half. He leads the Browns back and they win. And, they go on to win 7 games or whatever. Keep in mind, they were 0-16 the year before. He leads them to 7 wins. There was 28 touchdowns, breaks Peyton Manning's rookie touchdown record. Baker and the Browns, everyone was going crazy, okay? Everyone was going nuts. So the Browns did what the Bengals are doing now, where they have their quarterback and they're so excited about having their quarterback, Kev, that they skip steps or they lose track of what's really important, which is protecting the quarterback. The Browns thought, oh man, Baker was so good his rookie year that we're willing to kind of loosen up our offensive line to go get him Odell Beckham Jr. Now, again, how as a fan am I going to be mad that my team just went and got Odell Beckham Jr., right? How as a Bengals fan are you going to be mad that your team just went and got T. Higgins? No one goes to bed at night and wakes up in the morning and wakes up as the biggest offensive lineman fans out there. You're fans. You like the skill players. That's what we talked about yesterday.
Right.
So the Browns screwed up because they gave up Zeitler in that trade to get OBJ. So the Browns, front office, man, this is about to be huge. They are about to take off. And then what did they also do? Baker Mayfield. Remember when they got rid of Hugh Jackson and they got rid of, who the coordinator that took over for the interim. It doesn't matter. When they moved on from their coaches and they were looking for the new coach, what did the Browns do? They were so in love with Baker. They wanted Baker to feel like he was a part of the ownership group, right? They let him decide who the head coach was going to be. You remember when Baker was a part, one reason Mike McCarthy, which ended up being a blessing in disguise. At the time I was upset. I wanted the Browns to get Mike McCarthy. You had Baker Mayfield, who was being compared to Brett Favre. Had that, and it was being, what I mean? And just had that, big time quarterback feel, and it felt like Mike McCarthy, who's won a Super Bowl, would be a great fit in Cleveland. That's who I thought they should have gone. Mike McCarthy turned down the Cleveland Browns job, who everyone thought that's where he was going to go. That made a lot of sense because they had a ton of cap space. They had a lot of young receivers and a lot of young offensive stars. They had a ton of draft capital. The Browns were in good shape for a Super Bowl winning head coach in Mike McCarthy, leaving an egotistical quarterback already who knows how to deal with the big personality in Baker Mayfield. It just made too much sense. He turned down the job, Kev, because he sat down for an interview, and part of the interview process was getting to be interviewed by Baker Mayfield. He had to, and he was like, I just left Green Bay. I just lost my job because Aaron Rodgers ran me out of town.
Right.
I'm not going to another situation where I'm going to deal with an egotistical quarterback. And it wasn't Baker's. Baker does have an ego, yes, but it wasn't Baker's fault. the ownership should have never let Baker Mayfield be a part of the hiring process. Kev, he was sitting in on Zoom calls with these coaching candidates. And I even said, that's why I'm not beating up on the Bengals. This is my philosophy on everything. He has no business getting being a part of the decision-making process, in my opinion. I know we're different on that. I don't think he should get a say, especially as a second-year quarterback. It's not like you've been around, not like Tom Brady, who's won Super Bowls and knows how to lead the team, right? So that's what the Browns front office did. They made a mistake. They let Baker, they got rid of an offensive lineman to go get OBJ because they were so excited to put a brand new toy with Baker Mayfield. They wanted Baker to feel really good about the Cleveland Browns, so they let him be part of the decision-making process of who the next head coach was going to be. You know what happened with that? Baker picked Freddie freaking Kitchens. This is what I'm talking about, because players in the league, when they come in, they want to be comfortable, they want to have fun, they want to be with their guys. Baker wanted a head coach that he was buddy-buddy with. Remember all the videos, the cute videos of Baker running by Freddie Kitchens and poking him in the belly and doing the Pillsbury Doughboy soundbite and everything? Can you imagine Tom Brady doing that to Bill Belichick? Can you imagine Ben Roethlisberger walking by Mike Tomlin and poking him in the stomach?
Negative.
No, that doesn't happen. So Baker wanted him because he felt that it's my second year in the league. It was easy. Look at what I did my rookie year. Freddie does whatever the hell I want him to do. And that was, the team, they imploded the next season. Their offensive line was bad. Baker got sacked almost 30 times. And he threw a ton of interceptions. Freddie Kitchens had no clue what he was doing. Jarvis Landry did an interview that said the Browns were, he said that he felt the Browns were always the most prepared team for the first 7 plays. And then after that, they had no clue what they were doing because Freddie was very good at implementing the first package of plays. And then he had no clue how to adjust as the game went on. And I'm like, that was the mistake the Browns made. They got rid of the offensive line. They didn't value the offensive line because they valued skill position players better in OBJ. They thought, man, Baker, we got this new toy. Let's get him OBJ. Let's have some fun. Oh, Baker, we want you to be even more happy. We got you OBJ. Now we're going to let you pick the coach. That's the mistake the Bengals are making. Joe Burrow was asked, Joe Burrow really pushed hard to get Jamar Chase. If there was an adult in that front office, they would have looked at Joe Burrow and said, you're going to do great things. You're going to be really great. You threw for a lot of yards last year with apparently the horrible Tyler Boyd and the god-awful T. Higgins, apparently. We really need to give you a top tackle that is going to protect you, not just for 2021, but for your entire career. We never want to see you go down with that type of injury again. And instead, they did the whole, well, who do you want, Joe Burrow? Oh, you want him? Oh, anybody you want. If you want a punter in the first round, we'll take a punter. Anything to make you happy. That's why I'm frustrated, is because I'm not being a Bengals hater. I'm watching the Bengals make a lot of the same mistakes early on with Burrow that the Browns did with Baker. Now, the Browns learned from their lesson. They learned their lesson quick. They got the ship back on track. The ships aren't on track, but you know what the hell I'm saying. I'm getting ahead of myself here. My point is that when they got it fixed up, they got Andrew Berry in there. Andrew Berry makes the decisions now. And you got Kevin Stefanski. It's Kevin Stefanski's team. He runs the offense. He makes the decisions. Baker just gets told what to do. And then guess what happens? Baker has his best season ever. Throws for 28 touchdowns. He only throws 3 interceptions. He leads the team to the playoffs, 11 plus wins, a win in the playoff against Kevin's Pittsburgh Steelers, by the way. Go Browns. My point is in the midst of being a Browns homer,
time to go to break.
In the midst of being a Browns homer, I am telling you, the Bengals are making the same mistake that the Browns did, where you have this toy in Joe Burrow and you cannot wait to see it to kind of unveil it on the entire NFL universe. Man, Joe Burrow is going to have Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, but you don't have the offensive line. Baker Mayfield had Jarvis Landry. He had OBJ. He had Higgins. He had great weapons. He had Nick Chubb. He had weapons all over, and he couldn't do anything because that offensive line was bad. And then the Browns learned their lesson. They signed, Jedrick Willis last year in the first round. They go and spend good money on Conklin. And then all of a sudden, look, Baker's just a grown adult now because he doesn't have to be the decision maker. He just has to be the quarterback. And when you make his job simpler, you get more out of him. Joe Burrow, we don't need you picking your friend. This isn't a pickup game at the Y. This is your career. And you picked a wide receiver over the best offensive lineman prospect. So again, Browns homer, bringing you Browns experience here. Yes, I'm using the Browns as an example of what not to do, and the Bengals are following their blueprint. But the problem is I don't think they're smart enough to follow the Browns blueprint to get back on track to be able to actually compete for this division. You spent $250 million in the last 2 off seasons combined. Your offense isn't better than anyone else in the division. Your defense that you put up the majority of that money towards, the Bengals defense is not better than any defense in the AFC North right now. That's a lot of money to spend, and a big gamble taking Jamar Chase to still be the last place team in the division. That's all I'm going to say. We'll be back in a moment. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy and windy, a high near 66. Tonight's going to be mainly clear, also windy, a low around 36. And tomorrow's going to be mainly clear, a high around 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces around your home, office, or commercial property. Crack filling, asphalt sealing, and parking lot striping. Find us at culletsealcoating.com.
Does it feel like finding clothes in your fit is impossible? Tired of feeling overwhelmed with options that just aren't right? Let the experts at Stitch Fix do the shopping for you. At Stitch Fix, we make sure each piece is hand-selected for your life. So whether you're staying home or on the go, Stitch Fix has the answer for what to wear. We make it easy to find what works for you. Signing up takes just a few minutes, and styles are delivered directly to your door. Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix, your style delivered.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Clay's Cleaning Service has a spotless reputation.
Take care of the windows. Hello, this is Clay.
But his business operations could use a light dusting.
I had you scheduled for next week. I'll just check here. No, absolutely. We will be there tomorrow.
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Do not hire Franklin & Sons Electrical. The guy told me he'd shrink my monthly bill, and I'm like, dude, it's too small to read as it is.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
Then he's like, where's the circuit breaker? I'm like, bro, I didn't break anything.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
He told me I had a blown fuse. It's called a short fuse, and yes, I do have one, so watch yourself.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Hi, my name is Brian Summers, and I'm an attorney with Kirkland & Summers. We are a law firm dedicated to divorce and family law. We have 2 locations serving Miami Valley, one near Austin Landing and the other in Troy. Remember, we're not part-time divorce and family lawyers. We're full-time here for you.
Kirkland & Summers, trusted and experienced, a family law practice dedicated to serving you. Visit them online at kirklandandsummers.com. That's Summers with an O, kirklandandsummers.com.
O'Reilly. This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the 3rd time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is Ice-T and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
it's is a cold call. We're on a mission to get America to switch to cold water washing with Tide.
It saves you energy.
And that saves you up to $150 a year on your energy bill.
Plus, Tide cleans better in cold than the bargain brand in hot. So what are you waiting for?
Turn to cold because Stone Cold said so.
Turn to cold with Tide.
Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines. Performance based on Tide Power Pods versus leading baking soda packs.
Whether it's next day delivery or getting involved in their local communities, Napa goes above and beyond to serve you because their motor never quits. That's Napa know-how.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, we are back. I'm Justin Kinner, hanging out with Kev Nash with you on a Friday. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers. Poor Pete Rose. Look at him over there. So we have bobbleheads galore in the studio. Well, they're still there, the ones that are left standing. I mean, we've ruined the Kobe Bryant one. Pete
I felt
Rose
bad
is
about
down,
the Kobe one.
Barry Larkin. Yeah, we got, why don't you, Dusty Baker's safe back there. We got Jay Bruce with the Dragons bobblehead in here. I love the the dual King Griffey bobblehead, the one with the Mariners and the Reds. There's some really cool bobbleheads. Yeah, Coach Nagy's right there. I think we got the former women's coach, Katrina Merriweather. She's somewhere over there. There's some interesting bobbleheads. Yeah, there's Barry Larkin. So there you go. We have multiple Homer Baileys. And then there's Eugenio Suarez without a head, which that might be why he's not hitting right now. That could very well be. All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, hanging out with you here on a Friday. The show presented by Kirkland and Summers and Orion Sports Medicine. So, Bengals fans, I appreciate you. I think you guys are weird, some of you, but overall, I enjoy the passion. This started years ago. I said I hated the Bengals fan base because I felt that they lacked passion. And I'm wrong on that. They have passion. They're not the smartest group, but they definitely have passion. So I will admit that I was wrong about the passion. Intelligence thing's kind of lacking. Not for all, for a good chunk. If you're still convinced that wide receiver is going to make, block and keep your quarterback safe, there's no helping you. I'm done. We're done talking about it. So some of the other, we talked a little bit earlier about the Jaguars taking, Travis Etienne. That was shocking. Yesterday during the ESPN Dayton draft special, we were asked about, because, you being a Steelers fan, who you thought the Steelers were going to take. They take Najee Harris. That was correct. And then they asked who I thought the Browns and the Cowboys were going to take. I wanted the Browns and Cowboys to go after the same player, even though I knew it was very unlikely that the Browns were going to be able to end up with Micah Parsons. I was like, man, I would love to see the Browns be aggressive and move up and take that, because I would love to see them upgrade at linebacker big time. But the Browns getting who they did, like at first when I was like another secondary guy, they just go out and they add these big names. They got the two big pieces from the Rams. They already have Grant Delpit. They already have Denzel Ward, but they continue to add to depth in the secondary, and they very well might end up having the best, the most deep secondary in the National Football League. You look what the Browns did, getting Greg Newsome from Northwestern, one of the best available cornerbacks in the game right now. That's huge. I was not expecting that. I figured they were going to go after a pass rusher. I thought they were going to go after the defensive tackle from Alabama. Of course, his name just literally slipped my mind. But that's a huge pickup for the Browns, who secondary wise, oh, guys, brag about your wide receiver all you want. You ain't going to be thrown against Cleveland. Between their pass rush and with that secondary, that's one hell of a complimentary. That's a top 5 potential defense along with the top 5 potential. Actually, I think it is the top 5 offense. Top 5 offense, top 5 potential defense. Cleveland just continuing to say, you know what? We may not be able to plug every hole in the defense, but we're going to be known. We're sure as hell going to be known for our depth in our secondary. We have Myles Garrett. We have some good, some good beefy guys up on our line. And if they can end up getting Jadeveon Clowney, look, I'm not expecting Jadeveon Clowney to be a 20-sack guy. If he can get even to 8 or 10, I feel pretty good about that. Jadeveon Clowney is really known for being a big run stopper. I think that's what the Cleveland Browns also need, especially now if the Steelers end up getting their running game figured out with Najee Harris. I think that's where Jadeveon Clowney is going to come into play more than just putting pressure on the quarterback. When you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, like I joked earlier, I said, look, the Cleveland Browns, I feel bad. They're very tired today because they were up laughing all night because that defensive line is just, they smell blood in the water. And so does the Steelers, so does the Ravens and everybody else. I think the Browns are set. I love the addition of Greg Newsome. I still think they're going to be looking to add a pass rusher coming up here in the second round. The Dallas Cowboys trading back and still getting the number one. Look, they wanted, I don't know about you. What was your thoughts? I thought this was more of a defensive first round than I was expecting it to be. I think that we as humans all navigate towards the Jamar Chases of the world. We right away go towards the glamour picks, the sexier picks. We don't want the boring O-line picks. We don't want the defensive. We want the offense. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was very surprised at how solid these teams were in regards to being disciplined to not go after the shock and awe pick and to stick into what they needed most, and that's defense, especially when you look in that first round. When you saw J.C. Horn go number 8 to the Panthers, I didn't see one mock draft that had the Panthers taking. It was all either offensive linemen or offensive weapons. And then you look at what the Broncos did. The Broncos had a chance to land Justin Fields. I know they just got, they just maneuvered for a quarterback. There's still talks of them potentially getting Aaron Rodgers, but I did find that interesting that they could have used Justin Fields as a trade chip to be able to potentially get Aaron Rodgers if they wanted to. But they go and get Patrick Surtain the second. The Cowboys were up at number 10. They said, look, we can get an additional pick, which they did. They traded in the division with the Eagles. And then Micah Parsons ends up falling to the Cowboys at number 12. And then there's the Bears at number 11, which they also traded up. A lot of trade activity. We don't see that in the NFL. I was very entertained by last night's draft. It was more defensive minded than what I was anticipating.
Big time pickups, man. Big time pickup for the Cowboys. They got Micah Parsons, and Vander Esch, as good as he is, he's always hurt. It's almost like Sean Lee said, hey man, it's time for you to be the hurt linebacker on the team. And now Sean Lee is retired, so they had to get somebody to plug into that spot, and you got the best linebacker in college football roaming the sidelines for you, and he can blitz off the edge as well. So they got a terrorizer right there, and they were able to trade back and get more picks later on to, help solidify that defense even more. The thing about the Browns, and when we talked about it before, and I asked you, I thought about them getting a DB because really they run a college style defense. They run a 4-2-5. And so they're out there with 5 DBs. So in my mind, they're going to be out there with this could potentially be the secondary. You have Troy Hill at one corner, Ward at the other corner. You have Ronnie Harrison more as a box safety, and then you have Delpit and Johnson kind of roaming the back.
They have so many weapons.
So and then you on third downs, then you bring in Newsome for the slot. And I know everybody's going to say, what about Greedy Williams? And I'll say, what about Greedy Williams? That's exactly what I'll say. So I really like the Newsome pick up for the Browns. He can play slot corner. He can play on the outside. So those are huge defensive pickups because in the NFL, man, you just got to slow somebody down. You got to start holding people to 3 points because people are going to drive in between the 20s. But if you're able to hold them to 3 instead of 7 more times than not, you're probably going to be able to win the football game. So I like the defensive pickups by the Browns as well as the Broncos with them getting Patrick Surtain the second. And obviously I love the pickup by the Dallas Cowboys getting the best defensive player in the draft, in my opinion, Micah Parsons.
And good for them for there was a lot of talk about Jerry Jones getting a little anxious and packaging some picks and moving up.
Come on now.
No kidding. to get the tight end and Kyle Pitts, who ends up in Atlanta, by the way. If Atlanta does not trade Julio Jones, that's Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Kyle Pitts. I don't anticipate them keeping Julio Jones, but even if he moves on, to still have Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley and to have the weapons that they do again. But their problem is, who was I listening? I think it was Colin earlier today that said they're just the newest version of the Cowboys right now. They can't tackle anybody, but they're going to be very unstoppable offensively. But that offensive line needs a little work. It's probably going to be something they button up here as we go on. I thought
that's what we were talking about earlier in hour one about, there's 3 elite tackles still out there, and one of those are going to be taken before the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, one of them are going to be taken with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's really all comes down to, we know that the Falcons are going to do that. Is Philly going to grab one of those elite tackles as well and lead the Bengals high and dry?
So an interesting comment here. This is from Shane Rachelson on Facebook. Shane says, think about it. The Browns lose when they can't cover, with the Bengals and Ravens going wide receiver. By the way, there's a good pick by the Ravens. I'm glad you brought that up. That was a huge pickup right there. In fact, there was talks of potentially the Titans taking him. I mean, Bateman was brought up for quite a few teams, and he just kept dropping back and back. I was actually really, by the way, I do like the corner that the Browns got. When Zaven Collins went number 16 to the Cardinals, Zaven Collins, you're right. That kid is massive, absolutely massive. But I do think that, but this is a good point that was brought up by Shane. When you look at the moves that the Ravens and the Bengals and everyone else made, this was the smartest thing. They are loading up. I kept saying, man, they have guys in their second. No, they need droves of guys because that's what you're going to need. You think of the AFC. I mean, when you're going up against, Buffalo, and you're going up against Josh Allen and Buffalo, Patrick Mahomes, and of course, Kansas City, and you're going up against these teams. The only team that worries me as a matchup issue, and it's a matchup issue for everyone, it's Lamar Jackson.
Right.
You can't. There's really not a defensive style out there that is made to guarantee a stop against him. You could match up against Patrick Mahomes to slow him down. You're not going to stop. But Lamar, there's no recipe. It's just you got to hope that you could cut his angles off. You got to play the angles of Lamar. That's a tough matchup. Of course, the Browns went head-to-head with them in that classic Monday Night Football game last year. But overall, right now, when you got Kansas City, when you got Buffalo, and those are the teams. I mean, you could argue the Browns' third best team in the AFC, at least on paper right now heading in. You've got to see how it pans out. That secondary is what closes the gap between the Browns and the Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City, though, still is a humongous gap between them. Buffalo's trying to close in. Big gap still between them and Cleveland. I'm not ready to say they're as good as Kansas City. They're not. Baker could be that key, though. Baker will not come close to being Patrick Mahomes, but if Baker takes his game to that next level, because of the depth of every other position that the Browns have, they can definitely close that gap. That's not a homer take. That's just the reality of it. I'm curious to see what the run game for the Steelers does, too. Assuming, again, it's not just one running back. They're going to need to get another one. They might get another one in these later rounds. I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see. You have Najee Harris. Are you going to run him into the ground this year?
Yes.
Are you going to try and balance, how much are you going to balance out between him and Big Ben? Keep in mind, though, the Steelers, they play good football when Big Ben's able to air it out, but it can't be air it out or nothing. It has to be a good balance. So I'm curious to see the impact Najee Harris has, because I think the season's riding on his shoulders. I think out of all the rookies that were drafted, I don't think there's any more rookie that is facing more pressure than Najee Harris, because he's the only one that was drafted last night that I look at and say the future of the 2021 season is on you. All the quarterbacks, everyone else, you were drafted to be a part of a puzzle. We were one piece of the puzzle. Najee Harris, you passed up on offensive linemen to take him, because the thing is the only thing that can take you guys to that next level, the Steelers, is that run game. Najee Harris, I think, is facing the most pressure of any rookie drafted last night, because if he pans out and lives up to what he's supposed to be, the Steelers can go to that next level and compete for the AFC North. If he's just and okay, I think it could be another long season for what might be the last season of Big Ben.
I think it's going to be him and whoever they get in the second round. We all know they're going to grab an offensive lineman in the second round, whoever that is going to be. That remains to be seen. So I think it's kind of a package deal, because those two are going to be the new anchors of the run game. You plug the holes with mid-tier veterans, but the young guy, the new young guy of the offense, he's the one going to be there for the long term. And you're expecting Najee Harris to be there for at least 4 to 5 seasons. So those two are going to be the key for the Steelers going forward. But to be perfectly honest, I'm super anxious to see how Ben plays this upcoming season, a year after the elbow surgery, and the retooled offensive line. And obviously, nobody can tell with injuries. Like, nobody knows, like, oh, man, nobody was expecting the starting left tackle for the Steelers to get hurt in the fourth quarter of the first game of the season, be out for the entire year. We don't know what's going to happen with injuries. But, if you're able to, go from basically dead last in rushing to 15th, 16th, like, that's a major leap for the team. And being able to run the ball, you're able to play action fake. Like, when the Steelers would play action fake last year, Nobody's running up there to stop the run. No safeties coming screaming down like, oh, man, I got to help out my linebackers. And, oh, man, you're leaving Claypool wide open. Nobody was doing that. Every DB and their mom was staying back because they knew that not only the linebackers were going to clean it up, but the defensive line was going to gobble up the offensive line. So the big money bet for the Pittsburgh Steelers is the 3 new starters on the offensive line, they have to get it done. You have to get it done to a level where you're at least at a stalemate. You can't be losing the lines of scrimmage going backwards. You can't be playing backwards. You got to play forward. And if you're playing forward, you get a new running back with young, fresh legs. You're expecting him to do big things for them. So that's what I'm on. I'm on, hey, man, yes, to get a new running back, Najee Harris, a new toy. He showed ability to catch the ball out the backfield and everything like that, and vision, no doubt about it. But it's the offensive line. It's the offensive line that has to open up holes, that has to protect Big Ben and be more than just, quick slant routes and hoping that, then the guys break a tackle and take it 80. Like, you got to be able to open up holes and do drives as opposed to big home run plays.
All right, Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash hanging out with you here. The Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers and Orion Sports Medicine. Here on a Friday, we got Reds baseball coming up tonight. The Reds have the Cubs for their first head-to-head matchup of the season. The Reds, well, I thought they were going to have a winning April. They had one hell of a hot start to the season. They will not finish the month of April with a record above 500 or even at 500, but they would like to end the month of April with a win over the Cubs tonight at Great American Ballpark. Game 1 of a 3-game series set to get underway tonight. The pitching preview as well as the lineups and everything coming up here in hour number 3. It's 4:38 here in the Miami Valley. We'll step away for a few moments. When we come back, we have an update on Aaron Rodgers. Not so much about where he could end up. Actually, it is about where he could end up. He could end up retired. New reports are coming out that if, the situation in Green Bay does not get fixed to his liking, repaired to his liking, he'll just retire. All this talk of jeopardy and everything else, I do think that has shown him that, hey, there is not just other things to do in life, but there's also big money to be made with that as well. The Green Bay Packers are not his only option. Is he their only option? We'll talk about that when we come back. That was a hell of a tease, by the way. That was so great. I'm awesome. I'm the best ever. I don't care what they say. I'm joking, folks. I'm horrible.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Designer face masks, DIY haircuts. In a world full of things you never thought possible, here's one more. Now you can get the same high-quality insurance from Allstate, but at a new low rate. Drivers who switched and saved averaged $718. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit Allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Reported average annual savings when switching auto by new customers surveyed who saved with Allstate in 2019. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Not available in every state. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Only T-Mobile for Business uses unconventional thinking to help businesses realize new possibilities, like our WFX solutions, enabled by our nationwide 5G network that help teams stay connected and productive where work happens. We also provide an award-winning customer experience and first-class benefits with every plan. Get unmatched network support and value without any trade-offs at T-Mobile.com/unconventional. Capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
Hey Dayton, this is Dan First, 5th generation at First Florist and Greenhouses. Our garden center is now open for this season and full of beautiful garden plants, vegetables, and more. You'll be amazed at the quality and volume of plants in stock. So stop in and visit us at 1306 Troy Street in Dayton. Call us at 937-223-1213 or visit us online at firstflorist.com. That's FURST florist.com.
Shop First Florist and Greenhouses, celebrating 116 years in business. The Cup Cadet Pro Series commercial lineup means business. And now it means up to 48 months, no interest with equal payment financing on the entire lineup, including the superior maneuverability of the new 36-inch Pro X stand-on mower and the heavy-duty 972 SDL with a self-leveling seat to tackle slopes up to 25 degrees. Visit East Lawn and Garden, 1632 East Route 36 in Urbana. There's a promotional fee of $125 for this transaction. Call 1-877-831-7070 for details. Restrictions apply. Subject to credit approval. Standard APR 29.99%.
Hi, my name is Brian Summers, an attorney with Kirkland and Summers. We are a law firm dedicated to divorce and family law. We have 2 locations serving Miami Valley, one near Austin Landing and the other in Troy. Remember, we're not part-time divorce and family lawyers. We're full-time here for you.
Kirkland and Summers, trusted and experienced, a family law practice dedicated to serving you. Visit them online at kirklandandsummers.com. That's Summers with an O, kirklandandsummers.com. Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
O'Reilly. This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Hello, I'm a unicorn. Yes, one of those. Everyone's trying to find me, but most can't, unless they're ZipRecruiter. If you've hired before, you understand it's quite hard to find a unicorn. You know, someone who's perfect for your role, but somehow ZipRecruiter manages to do it fast. Talk about magical. And right now, you can go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. ZipRecruiter's technology finds candidates with the right experience, like me, and actively invites them to apply to your job. ZipRecruiter knows you want more than just great resumes. You want brilliant people who can help your business shine. That's why they make hiring these people easy. But I'm just a majestic unicorn. Don't take my word for it. Listen to him.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Remember, customize and save with Liberty Mutual Insurance Company. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we welcome you back. Josh McKinnon, Kevin Nash with you here on a Friday. So the Aaron Rodgers saga continues, and I tell you what, I see both sides to this, but I think Aaron Rodgers right now is playing a very weird game. His party had to release that yesterday. There's no one in that team or organization that's leaking that information, right? Like that, especially on draft day. You don't want that getting out. And if, by the way, if I'm Justin Fields or Mac Jones or Trey Lance or Trevor Lawrence, I hate Aaron Rodgers because that was supposed to be their day. That's supposed to be us talking about them. Now, you can argue we've been talking about them for months, and I get it, but that day was supposed to be their day. And the whole draft was just about the Aaron Rodgers stuff. And again, it's a big story. It should be talked about. We're talking about it. It is what it is. But according to, and again, this just came out Pro Football Focus, but Ian Rappaport with the NFL Network has come out and said that Aaron Rodgers is strongly considering retirement unless the situation with the Packers is repaired to his liking. Well, this is where I'm getting fed up with the Aaron Rodgers thing because, if you want out, just ask out, get out. I don't like that. I don't like when players do that. I didn't like, before the Deshaun saga, that with the outside stuff that's taken off. I wasn't a fan of that, but at the same time, you know what? Ask to be released, ask to be traded, move on. You go have success with the new team, and we even forget who you used to play for. It's just a talking point in the Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, primetime football broadcast, and then we focus on what you're doing then. Mm-hmm. So, Aaron Rodgers coming to the Packers and saying, unless this is fixed to my liking, I'm just going to retire. If I'm the Packers, I look at him and say, listen, buddy, we know who you are. We know what you mean to our organization in the NFL. But you're acting as if we don't have options. Jordan Love may not be a great option, but they moved up. They traded up to get him last year for a reason.
Right.
They had already mentally prepared to move on from Aaron Rodgers to begin with. So if Aaron Rodgers wants to play this game of, you're going to do what I say or I'm just going to retire, I hand him the box. And I help him put his things in that box. I do what Vince McMahon did. I put all this stuff in the trash and then mail in the trash bag and mail it to. Did you see that? There was WWE talent that was released, and all their belongings in their locker or whatever was put in a trash bag and taped, and then it was mailed to them. And then, of course, it was bad PR and all that stuff. But anyways, that's the treatment if I'm the Packers I would get. You've been treating him like trash anyways. He's not a good person. Actually, I never get to do the whole I know insiders thing, but I'm going to get to do that today. I know people that are part of that coaching staff, close relations there, that have basically told me that the Aaron Rodgers is the biggest pain in the ass behind the scenes. And it's really not even a behind the scenes thing. I mean, he doesn't carry himself the best even on television. I thought he did a great job on Jeopardy, but we're not talking Jeopardy here. Right. Kev, if I'm the Packers, I just say, Aaron, we're either going to trade you, tell us where you would prefer to be traded, we could get it done, or retire. We're not begging you to stay. The Packers have never tried to bow down to his feet since they drafted him. So why start now? And when Aaron Rodgers says dumb things like, I'm going to retire if this isn't repaired to my liking, Kev, what could they do at this point for his liking? If I would understand, Kev, if he would have done this 2 months ago, right as free agency started. Right. Hey, unless we fix this, I'm out. You do that before free agency so that they can make plans for free agents, so that they can have a better assessment of what they want to do in the draft. You can't release this on the morning of the draft and then expect the Packers after free agency, after the draft, to be able to provide enough weapons for him that he's going to feel comfortable sticking around. Like, that's the thing I don't understand. Egomaniacs like this, until I want it repaired to my liking. Okay, now you are a context guy. There is no article on this. This is a simple tweet from Ian Rappaport. So that's all this is based off of. But Aaron Rodgers will retire unless the situation with the Packers is repaired to his liking. Kev, I don't think there's a scenario out there that I don't think this is repairable. I don't think there's anything the Packers could do to repair it. And on the flip side, I don't know if the Packers want to repair it. They're pissed. You embarrassed them. You threw them under the bus. Not that that's the worst thing in the world. Teams do deserve that from time to time. You don't get me wrong. But you did it on draft day, and there was so many other days you could have done that. You could have did it the day before free agency started. The Packers could have at least went out and loaded you up with weapons if they were willing to bow down to you, right? Right. Maybe they wouldn't have. But I just think that Aaron Rodgers knows this can't be repaired. He's demanding that if it's not repaired to his liking that he's going to retire, just retire. Free agency's over. Not saying there's not free agents still out there, but there's no free agent out there that is going to make him happy enough to stick around if that's the case. What are they going to – it's the second round of the draft now. They went and got a defensive guy last night, so it's not like they got him another weapon offensively, right? So – and the Packers, let's not act like they're out of – like they don't have leverage here. Jordan Love is not Aaron Rodgers, but you know what? Justin Fields is not a great quarterback yet. Like every time you draft a rookie quarterback, they're not better than anyone that you're looking to replace. You're hoping that they live up to that. When Brett Favre retired for the 18th time, it's not like they knew they had a gem in Aaron Rodgers yet. They probably felt comfortable with what they saw in practice, but it took a year or 3 years of Aaron Rodgers starting before we knew exactly who he was, right? So Jordan Love, we may think the perception is the Packers have no leverage. The Packers have leverage. They traded up and drafted him in the first round last year, anticipating this move. It may be uglier than what they had anticipated with how they're going about their separate ways, but they do have an option. So to act as if Aaron Rodgers has all the power here, I think the Packers have been reminding him for years, you don't have the power. We do. Right or wrong, I think the Packers should just say, no, we're done. You've played your last game with us as a Packer after the stunt he pulled yesterday. Just me.
Yeah, it's not going to end well for either party. Nobody's going to be happy at the end of the day, because when you lose a Hall of Fame quarterback who still has a lot of gas in the tank, you can't be happy. And Aaron Rodgers isn't happy to be leaving the organization that he's played his entire career with and that gave him a chance that 24 other teams passed up on. And nobody's going to be happy. But, Aaron Rodgers does have a lot of leverage because he is a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he probably is the best quarterback that ever played for that franchise. And we're talking about Bart Starr. We're talking about
Brett Favre.
Yeah,
I mean, you kind of had that weird name, though.
Yeah. You got a lot of guys with gold jackets that played for that franchise, and especially that position.
Green jacket, blue jacket. Who gives us? Sorry.
But the thing about it is, Aaron Rodgers, he has the 3 MVPs. He has the Super Bowl, and he also got a lot of money. So if he just decide, you know what, I'm not playing no more, I'll go do the Jeopardy thing, I'll go right off into the sunset and just be happy, I'll be content. And anything we know about Aaron Rodgers, we know that he's a difficult person, and he's cut off family members, like not just like cousins, like we all have cut off cousins before, but like he's cut off parents. Like I would never dream of cutting off my mom, but he's done that. So I believe every word he says. Like if somebody's strong enough and willed enough to cut off their mom and their dad, like he'll do that to you too. And for the Green Bay perspective, if you want to go ahead and roll with Jordan Love, go by all means, but it's a relationship business. The GM and everybody involved with the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers has been there for a very long time. They know how petty and how a-hole-ish he is. They know that. So if you know that, manage your player, manage your star quarterback, manage the situation. Dial him up and say, hey, look, Aaron, this is the plan. This is what we're going to do. We're going to draft Jordan Love to be your successor. We know you can't play forever. We all know that. So we're drafting him. We wanted to let you know. Not saying, hey, man, we were trying to see if it was cool with you. We wanted to let you know that this is the plan that we're going to do. You don't want your Hall of Fame quarterback finding out with everybody else as he's watching the draft or doing whatever the bleep he's doing on a Thursday night and find out like, oh, they drafted my successor. And I think the relationships that the franchises have with their players gets fractured because they think these guys are cogs in the wheel. Like when the season is, when the season isn't going on, they're cogs in the wheel. But when the actual action is going on, hey, man, we need you to make another big play, man. We need you to convert one of those Hail Marys. I know a Hail Mary is simply a Hail Mary, but some reason you've thrown the most Hail Marys by anybody. Oh, man, Michael Jordan, we need you to hit another clutch shot. Hey, man, appreciate it. Now, about that contract and about, bringing Phil back. Nah, man, we're not going to do that. You can do all those things. You can move on because like you believe, the franchises own the teams. Okay, fine. That is 1,000%. But it is about a relationship. And if you want a relationship with your star player, you want to have that open communication line. And it's the same thing I said about Russell Wilson. Wherever the communication went wrong between Russell Wilson and the front office, open up your mouths. Stop sending emails. Stop reporting things to Adam Schefter. Dial him up and have a conversation. And that's where the things super went wrong with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. They didn't dial him up and say, hey, look, Aaron, this is the plan. We're drafting your successor. He's not going to be starting, obviously. He's going to be the backup. We're not looking for you to, show him the ropes and everything like that. That's what the coaches are for. We just wanted to let you know that this is the plan. And I don't see anything wrong with letting your franchise quarterback know the plan. I mean, the guy's been there. He's been putting in mad work. And it's not like, he's Joe Burrow and only been there for one season. I mean, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been holding things down in Green Bay for a very long time. So I just think in our business, we are in the communications business, and we have difficulties communicating sometimes in our own building with people that we used to see every single day.
Yeah, I didn't know there was something wrong.
So communication is the hardest thing for people to do sometimes. And I think that's where everything just went to Kaputsville. And if you have a sensitive quarterback, a sensitive player, a sensitive star player like Aaron Rodgers, and you want to keep him happy and keep winning football games, all you got to do is dial him up. Now, if he receives that information in a positive light, like, all right, cool, fine. Yeah, that's fine. Or whatever. Or, what are you doing? Why don't you do this in the fifth? Those are two different stories, and in the Green Bay case, if he does fly off the deep end because you decided to draft his successor, you can always leak to the media. Hey, man, we dialed him up to let him know. And he flew off the deep end. But now the Green Bay Packers are looking like the team that don't know what's going on.
Well, no, you bring up, for one, I agree with everything you've said, but the problem is that this isn't like I feel like Russell Wilson's relationship with the Seahawks just got fractured within this last year. When it came to, hey, you could be a part of Deshaun Watson, about being part of the next head coaching search. That got, even though you could start to see some things happening that you could understand why he would be upset, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back, whatever the stupid saying is. I butcher sayings all the time, always. And
you got the nerve to get on Shaw. What did Shaw to say the other day?
Hold the brakes. Shaw's a good sport too. The guys I argue with the most on this show, people think I hate these individuals, and I think they hate me sometimes, but they come back for more as long as they can dish it and can take it. That's a good, that's a good host listener relationship right there. Speaking of relationships. Speaking of Shaw, he brings up a good point. He says the relationship, let's hold the brakes. He says, the relationship is the whole reason that the Bengals drafted Chase and not Sewell. And he's right. But see, this is the thing I say about all the time. Like, the Packers know who they are as an organization. They've stood up to their stars before. They stood up to Brett Favre. They stood up to Brett Favre, and now they're standing up to Aaron Rodgers because they've gotten away with it in the past. And eventually it's going to catch up with you. You're putting your chest out with Aaron Rodgers. Well, if Jordan Love is trash, you're lucky that Aaron Rodgers was good. Because
that's where it is. That's where it is. If he's not good, it's going to blow up in their face. And you know what? We don't know, and we're going to find out. But I do think the situation between Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are way different. Like, Brett was holding them hostage. Like, he was going in to July. Like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna show up or not. And Aaron Rodgers was out there as a second-year quarterback taking first-team snaps. And then here comes Wrangler, man. Like, I want my job back. Give me a contract.
Speaking of Wrangler, by the way, I saw someone post a video of Joe Burrow throwing the football yesterday. He looks great. He looks like he's ready to go right now. But he doesn't look any different than Brett Favre and them Wrangler commercials. And I'm pretty sure Brett Favre couldn't step on the field.
Touchdown.
So it is what it is. Now, real quick. So everything you said was true. Yes, the relationships matter. Shaw, the whole relationship thing. But the difference is there are organizations who have the guts to stand up to these players because they're confident in their way. And I do not think you always need a buddy-buddy relationship with your players to have an effective thing. I mean, you look at the Chicago Bulls, when you look at Jerry Krause and the issues. Jerry Krause didn't just have issues with the star player. He had issues with the coach. He didn't like Phil Jackson, him and Scottie Pippen. Pippen would just, you watched that documentary a year ago. It was unbelievable how much those players would just crap all over. There was always tension between the players, the coach, and the front office. Always. And look, they won 6 NBA championships. How about the Patriots? I mean, look at that Tom Brady and the ownership got along real well, but it was Bill Belichick's team. But the Patriots are a very good and well-run organization where they are confident that Robert Kraft is confident in Bill Belichick's ability to do the roster management thing, although he did intervene and say they weren't ready to get rid of Tom Brady yet, but Bill Belichick wanted to get rid of Tom Brady. Those two don't exchange Christmas cards. Those two aren't the best of friends, but they won how many Super Bowls together? You don't have to. How about LeBron coming back to Cleveland? Look at the rocky relationship he had with Dan Gilbert. You think that he went back to Cleveland because him and Dan Gilbert are best friends now? No, he went back to Cleveland. They still have that rocky relationship, and they won championships in spite of that. Kobe Bryant versus Phil Jackson versus Shaquille O'Neal. That dynasty broke, and then it had to be put back together again. You can win championships with tension. You just got to have enough adults in the room. But if you look at those organizations I talked about, the Lakers, okay, you look at the Patriots, you look at the Bulls, the only dysfunctional, this is just how good LeBron is, by the way. The only organization that is not known to be a respected organization that wins is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I am being a little serious on this. That was more because of LeBron. The Lakers found ways to win championships. Yes, because Shaq and Kobe were great, but they were able to win championships despite the tension because it's the Lakers. And even when the players have tension against the organization, they still have a respect for the organization. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers respects the Packers, but the Packers have not done enough to show him that they respect him either. Who was it that said, Brian on Facebook says, agree that Rodgers is a jerk. One offensive player in 10 years, and that was Jordan Love. Can't blame him for wanting out. Those are the things that the Packers have done that have rubbed him the wrong way. So, again, this is a clash of everything. But my point about Aaron Rodgers is you waited till the day of the draft to leak this, to put the pressure on them. If you really want, I don't think he wants the relationship fixed. No. So if he did, because if he wanted it fixed, I felt like you would have dropped that bombshell about a week or two before free agency started so that the Packers would have had a chance to be able to show you that, hey, things are different now. We're going to load you up with players. You know how the Patriots wouldn't do that for Tom Brady? Tom Brady's out. Now you have Cam Newton, and now they're going and they're spending $160 million+ in the offseason, something they never did when Tom Brady was there, who always took pay cuts. So it's not as if they had no money to do it. So we've gone extra long on this topic, but the bottom line is I don't want to hear Aaron Rodgers do this whole, you need to bow down and kiss my feet and kiss the ring, because I think he's just as responsible for that rocky relationship. I usually am always pro organization because I think the players always expect to have more of an ownership type feel with it, but both have treated each other poorly. I think it's best for both to move on. The Packers, they moved up and got a quarterback last year. Just because they drafted maybe a bad quarterback, that's on them. They still, though, you got to orchestrate that plan, and maybe we'll see what happens next. But what do you think he goes? Denver's the team that
it's got to be right.
Floated around.
And the thing about it is he only has 1 year left on his contract, so it makes it an easier situation to move. It's not a free agency situation like it was with Tom Brady, but, it's a reasonable contract. It isn't anything that's crazy number wise, like Deshaun Watson situation. So it's got to be Denver. It's got to be, because, he's not going to go to a team that doesn't have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Denver's just going to keep winning these makeshift Super Bowls. You did it with Peyton Manning. I know you. Peyton Manning
charged to win it, right?
When Peyton Manning and the Broncos won that Super Bowl, I know Peyton wasn't Peyton. Peyton was 3 years?
Yeah,
3 or 4 years.
I think so. They think it was 3.
So those first 2 years, though, the first year he was an MVP candidate.
Right.
Second year, top 10 quarterback, no doubt. Third year, you could tell he was just hanging on by a thread, but he still played the position good enough to win a Super Bowl and to get them there and everything else like that. I'd love Peyton Manning with Denver.
Oh, it was 4 years.
I thought it was 4 because I know that.
13-3, 13-3, 12-4, and 7-2, and I believe that the 7-2 year was the year that they won the Super Bowl, where he was banged up a lot.
So with that, it's Denver now is going to do it again. They're going to go get another quarterback like that. That's a revolving door there too. They've had Joe Flacco. Now they have Teddy Bridgewater.
That second year, he threw 55 touchdowns.
Yeah, like I said, he was. That's why I know everyone thinks that. Oh yeah, Peyton Manning was washed up when he went to Denver. No, he washed up in Denver, but he was not washed up when he got to Denver. If that makes sense. But wow, we're already in hour number 3. Kev, you're doing a horrible job producing this show.
When you start talking about Aaron, man, it's a touchy situation, man. He's got to go to Denver because there's nobody else out there that can win a Super Bowl right now, unless you're gonna go down to Miami. Roll the dice with Miami, and then they're gonna have to bench Tua for an additional couple years, and then what?
Yeah, I think
got to be Denver.
It has to be Denver, unless the Bucks win one more with Tom Brady. Tom Brady retires, and then insert Aaron Rodgers and keep the whole band together, right? How crazy is that? All right, we'll step away for a few moments. We have more of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers and Orion Sports Medicine. When we come back, we're 2 hours in. We haven't even gotten to this yet, and how about Justin Fields? How about Justin Fields going to the Chicago Bears? Good fit. Do you like it? Don't answer yet. And how about Mac Jones? See, you don't trade up to take Mac Jones at number 3. You just don't do it. And I'm so glad he dropped. And by the way, there's something about like when we talk about these players, you know, all I remember is watching the highlights or watching these kids play. But when you watch them, some of them have punch me faces. Some of them, I'm just like, Mac Jones, I'm glad you dropped to number 15, but he's perfect. He's not likable. What did he do to you? No, he's not likable. There's just something about him. Like, he's just not likable to me. And I'm not, I'm not likable to a lot of people. We've established this today. So, and he's going to the most disliked team in the NFL. It's a match made in heaven. And Mac Jones played for the most disliked college team out there, playing for the most disliked college coach, even though Dabo's doing a pretty good job at trying to win that award. You know what I mean? Like, it's a perfect fit, and it was a perfect fit all along. And why we talked, and that's the crazy thing. We all talked ourselves into Mac Jones being a top 3 pick. Maybe not me and you necessarily, but like the national media and the national narratives that were out there. But those were 2 crazy things that happened. Mac Jones dropping to 15, Justin Fields dropping. We figured that was going to happen unless he went number 3. But the Bears picking him up, trading up to get him. I actually like Justin Fields in Chicago. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Buckeye fans, what do you think? How pumped are you to hear not just his name being called, but the team that picked him? How do you feel about it? 457-9464. We're live on Facebook on the Justin Kinner Show. We're live on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Let's have that conversation when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Hello, I'm a unicorn. Yes, one of those. Everyone's trying to find me, but most can't, unless they're ZipRecruiter. If you've hired before, you understand it's quite hard to find a unicorn. You know, someone who's perfect for your role, but somehow ZipRecruiter manages to do it fast. Talk about magical. And right now, you can go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. ZipRecruiter's technology finds candidates with the right experience, like me, and actively invites them to apply to your job. ZipRecruiter knows you want more than just great resumes. You want brilliant people who can help your business shine. That's why they make hiring these people easy. But I'm just a majestic unicorn. Don't take my word for it. Listen to him.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
O'Reilly. Ready for an oil change? Our professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts recommend all the best products to get the job done right. Like 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil on sale now just $28.95. And we'll make sure you have all the supplies you need, including a filter, funnel, shop towels, drain pan, and more. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We're a farm store, a feed store, a best friend store. We're a family store, a fun store, a look what I found store. We're a store made for real people and some real peace. We're a high neighbor kind of store and an everyday low price store. We're Rural King, and we want to be your favorite store. Rural King, America's farm and home store.
Today, I'm going to surprise my girlfriend of 5 years with something great for her birthday. A scented candle. I'm talking a good scent, like lavender. Not something lame like pine. I've been building this gift up too, telling her it was going to be something special. She made a joke about me knowing her ring size, and I played it off like she was on the right track. I even mentioned that her parents were fully on board with the one I picked out. She's going to be so surprised to get this candle.
Maybe clueless boyfriends just need a Snickers. Snickers satisfies.
With Mother's Day around the corner, now's the time to visit JCPenney's Friends and Family Sale. Get up to 50% off amazing brands she'll love, like Liz Claiborne and Exertion Activewear. Shop gifts from apparel and swimwear to ultra-comfy robes. Plus, save even more with an extra 30% off coupon. Celebrate the woman who does it all. JCPenney. Offers and coupons valid through 5/2. Some exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio. It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers.
We are officially 1 month into the Major League Baseball season. Reds will have their first run-in with the Chicago Cubs. Game 1 tonight of a 3-game series, all from Great American Ballpark. The Reds went on the road, got swept by the Cardinals, and they had lost 7 straight. And I joked, I said, it would be typical Reds if they would go and then take care of business against the Dodgers. Sure enough, they had a chance to sweep. They lost the other day. It was close early on, and then they lose like 8-1 or 8-0 or whatever it was. I mean, this team's hard to figure out. I just can't figure out the Reds. But nonetheless, they're not as bad as what we've seen in years past. But again, I'm getting a little frustrated. That's great that they took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers, but I think I'm really past the point of dealing with the inconsistencies with this Reds team because they've spent too much money. It's kind of like with the Bengals a little bit. You spent $250 million the last 2 off seasons. Like I would hope you would have more, like this season. The Bengals need to find a way to win at least 8 games. 8. And I don't see 8 wins on their schedule, but I feel like Joey Votto is going to go down. Save him. That's Josh Cunningham and Darrell Davis and Joey Gruden about to knock down Joey Votto over there. All right, you saved him. Good job. We have an old Dayton Flyers program in there. And it's the wind. It's windy as hell. I about knocked poor Joey Votto, and it's his MVP bobblehead. That's the only one I have, so don't let that one go down. And as if it's you're just closer. Where was I going? Anyways, but it's a point where you spend all that money. There's too much talent on this Reds roster for them to be not knowing who they are. Like that's called spending your money poorly because you got to know what you're investing into, or you got to know who your identity is. There's no such thing as a perfect team. All right. But you got to know, like at least last year we knew, okay, the Reds are a pitching team and they should have had more explosiveness as far as in that lineup. And by the end of the year, they became a little bit more well-balanced, but then the bats disappeared come playoff time. But they were a pitching team last year. If I ask you, and we're not doing a Reds topic right now, we'll get into that more next week. We just got to get through this NFL draft stuff. But be thinking about this over the weekend. I sound like a teacher giving you guys homework to take home for the weekend. All right, so take this home for the weekend and, write this down, and we'll all, evaluate it on Monday. But be thinking about this for next weekend. What is the identity of this Reds team? Who the hell are they? Like when you think of the Reds, you think of pitching. I mean, Castillo's okay. He hasn't been great. Sonny Gray's good story, but Tyler Mally's been kind of interesting just because he's, this is a year for him to kind of, take his opportunity and run with it to make some money. The bullpen has some decent names in there, but overall as a whole, the lineup, they have some pop in that lineup. But I mean, Kev, we know how explosive that Reds lineup is, but they've been shut out like 4 times already. That how can you be that explosive offensively but be shut out 3 or 4 times? So again,
it's like you say, they don't excuse me.
That was
they
me,
don't
folks.
Generate runs. It's all home runs or bust.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no small ball type of atmosphere, so there's no advancing the runners. There's none of that. It's just home run. Maybe somebody will be on base, maybe somebody won't. A lot of solo dingers.
Yeah, and that's it. So be thinking about that. I think the Reds going to win tonight. I think there'll be a game under 500 heading into May, and then we'll pick up with this conversation next week. But be thinking about that when you're watching the Reds this weekend. Who are they? What is their identity? And that's going to be the thing. Like I can't predict if they're going to be a playoff team or not because I can't tell you how they're going to get there. I think they're winning more than they lose at times because they just have a lot of talent. But I don't think David Bell has done a good job of putting all that talent together and establishing an identity for this group. But we'll get into more Reds talk next week just because I wanted to make sure I touched on that quickly just to remind you we're dating some of the Reds and Cubs tonight. But that's what I do want to spend time on next week is the identity of this Reds team. I have no clue who they are. Tell me their strengths. There's a good pop in the lineup. They have okay pitching, but it's not great. The bullpen, like one series, the starting pitching will pitch lights out and the bullpen will blow 3 games like against the Cardinals. And then against the Dodgers, you get iffy pitching from your rotation, and then your bullpen comes in and throws great games up until that game 3 where they gave up 8 runs late. So it's just frustrating not being able to figure out who this Reds team is. And I don't think David Bell, I've said this a million times. Brian Price got fired because he didn't win. He didn't win because he didn't have talent. So expecting him to win with no talent is crazy. So excuse me if I expect David Bell to win with talent and he's not. And that's where you got to start, considering those things when we talk about the Cincinnati Reds. So last night, the NFL draft, so much is going on. Beat up on the Bengals early on. That was fun. Always is. The Browns, they add more depth to what is already, in my opinion, top 5, depth at secondary in the NFL right now. I mean, fantastic job by the Cleveland Browns and their front office, and I love the job that they're doing. We talked about Pittsburgh and getting, Najee Harris and providing, getting that run game, of course, because they no longer have who was your running back, Connor, who's now with the Cardinals. There's a lot of interest. After getting Sammy Watkins, the Baltimore Ravens end up adding another wide receiver piece last night to kind of give him some weapons. Lamar has weapons. Like, that's the thing. You got to be careful what you ask for, because when you get the weapons, if those weapons don't work, it may be their fault, but it's going to be Lamar's fault, right? Like, from a perception standpoint, like, if it doesn't work out, they got Rashad Bateman. I love Rashad Bateman. I thought he was going to go a little bit sooner. There was talk that, the Browns could have potentially entertained taking him, but ultimately they said, look, we have enough firepower on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to stick to defense. I would not have been surprised to see the Browns gamble and take Bateman, of course. And there was talks of the Vikings potentially taking him, the Titans, even the Colts, if they was there. So I like what the Ravens have done. You have Sammy Watkins. You now add him into the mix. Lamar's going to, there's no excuse. That pass game, you have no choice. It has to be better this year. And I think it will. But if it's not, it's going to be Lamar's fault. Whether it's the play calling or not, it will be his fault if it does not work out, at least from the perception standpoint. But the most entertaining thing last night, who do you want to start with, Mac Jones or Justin Fields?
Let's get Mac Jones out the way.
Who? Mac Jones. Let's get Mac Jones out of the way first. Mac Jones drops. Okay. So we knew when we were doing the ESPN Dayton reaction show last night, the draft special. First pick, boring, yawn. We knew it. 12-year-old Zach Wilson. He almost looks as old as Zach Taylor. He was drafted number 2 to the Jets. There was still a part of me. Remember with Keith last night, we were talking about if there was a surprise in the draft, it could be the Jets. The Jets have never come out and said Zach Wilson's their guy. Todd McShay did. Mel Kiper did. No one's come out and officially and said that, right? They could have come out and drafted Justin Fields or someone different. No, they took Zach Wilson. The draft got interesting at number 3, Trey Lance or Mac Jones. There was all this talk out there that the San Francisco 49ers had basically sold the farm to move up to number 3, and they took Trey Lance, which everyone's like, oh, that's the smart pick. Trey Lance looks like a better athlete. He looks like a better quarterback, but his body of work doesn't even match up at all to what we saw from Mac Jones. But when Mac Jones didn't go number 3, and then you got past the Falcons, and then of course you get past the Lions and the Panthers, I knew he was in trouble at that point. And then all of a sudden, everyone wanted the Patriots to trade up and take him. I'm like, the Patriots are patient. And their patience, they benefited from that last night. They got Mac Jones. That's the best fit for him. I don't want to fall into the trap of saying, oh, it's going to work because he played for Nick Saban at Alabama and he's going to the NFL version of Alabama. Be that as it may, it's still the NFL. I like all these teams who are obsessing with pairing up former teammates. Oh, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. You look at Tua Tagovailoa pairing up with Jalen Waddle. Who else did that too? Another team. Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith with the Eagles. I don't know if these were planned. It's funny how it's all worked out, but nonetheless, I do find this interesting. Mac Jones to New England. Will it work, and what will it working look like? Is it going to work his rookie season? What do you do with Cam Newton, who you just signed, I think, for a couple $1 million? I'm really interested in how this is going to work out for Mac Jones and the Alabama of the NFL, New England.
I'll speak on Mac Jones falling first. He really didn't fall in my book. He went about where he should have went in my book. San Francisco tried to play the game try to throw people off the smoke screen about who they really were taking. They knew they were taking him all along. That's who I knew they were taking. Like, you're not trading up that high to get a guy that was projected to be in the late teens. It was either Lance or it was Justin. That's who it was going to be. And they chose to go with Lance. Fine. So then you say, like, all right, well, where's Fields going to go? Where is Mac Jones going to go? I thought that New England was going to get Justin Fields. I thought that the Patriots would stand pat and basically say, Somebody else is going to take the traditional drop back passer, and we'll get our guy and stand.
Real quick, if both are available at 15, maybe you were getting to this and I'm interrupting.
Justin Fields.
Patriots would have taken him.
I think they would have took Justin Fields. I mean, look at their offense. The quarterback that Justin Fields is very comparable to is Cam Newton. But I think Justin Fields is a better passer than Cam Newton coming out of college. Everything that they got going on, the way they're going to be moving the pocket and everything like that. That's how their offense is going to be built. They're going to be putting Cam on the move, and Cam is best when he's on the move. And you put Justin Fields in that same situation, he could excel. But he didn't go there. The Bears jumped up and took Justin Fields, leaving Mac Jones to fall right in New England's lap. And you got to give credit to the winning organizations out there. When you're a winning organization, you don't have to make like these drastic moves to jump all the way up and move back down. Like, all right, we know who we're going to get if the draft comes to us, just like the Browns did. They didn't bounce around. They said, hey, man, we're going to get a DB. One of them is going to be there. All of them ain't going to be gone. So we'll get Greg Newsome. He came to us. Same thing with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It might have been the best situation possible, right? Because they could have given up, some inventory, to move up to get probably the same caliber of player that they ended up getting at number 26.
Yeah, and the same thing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Once everything happened in front of them, once the Jets didn't take Najee Harris, it was almost a given that's where he was going to go. Like, all right, they were the only other team ahead of them that could have possibly taken Najee Harris. But Mac Jones, quote unquote, falling to the Patriots, I think it'll work out for him. I mean, everybody like showing the picture of Tom Brady at his pro day and then showing Mac Jones with the cigar in his mouth with his nice little beer belly and everything like that.
Man boobs.
So, I mean, obviously, I don't think it's going to work out to the Tom Brady level, but I think it'll eventually work out for him. He's going to be coached hard. He's going to be coached well.
And he'll accept it.
Yeah, he won't be bouncing off the walls. I mean, shoot, you got to think about it, man. He was a 3-star, quote unquote, nobody recruit coming into Alabama. He wanted to go to Florida. Florida didn't even offer him a scholarship. He waited his turn at Alabama. So it isn't like he has like this, ego coming in there demanding that the team should be his and he's just going to be handed the keys. The New England Patriots are first and foremost going to go with the veteran Cam Newton. And if things go off the rails, he'll probably get his opportunity then.
Yeah, and you got to think, too, and everyone's like, oh, the Patriots were confident. They knew he was going to be. If they knew he was going to be there, they would not have probably signed Cam when they did. Let's just be clear. Again, you don't know it's unpredictable. I give them credit for being patient because I think the Patriots, their mindset was this. If all those quarterbacks are gone before we're there at 15, so what? We'll just get, we have Cam Newton. We'll probably change our focus over to Garoppolo. The Patriots weren't panicking because they had a plan. They felt confident that, okay, we get Mac Jones, great. Now we don't have to go after Garoppolo. If someone would have taken Mac Jones before and there was no more Justin Fields and that's all the top 5 main quarterbacks were taken, okay, cool. We'll get a defense. We'll get Micah Parsons he was technically gone by then, but we'll get, a cornerback. We'll get whatever we need. And then we'll move on and finagle a trade to get what we need. They were just cool, calm, and collected because they were in position to be. But that's just a well-run organization. Will it work? I don't know. I do find it interesting. I don't know what the urgency is going to be to get Mac Jones in there. Bill Belichick is a little older. I know we talk about being patient and developing guys. How much patience? I mean, the Patriots showed patience last night in the first round of the draft, but how much patience does Bill Belichick really have? Garoppolo would have been a better get for them because there is no developing. It's get them, plug them right back into where you were when you were winning without winning. Well, Tom Brady was out, winning to the level of a Super Bowl. We don't know. But that might have made more sense for Bill Belichick. How much patience is he going to have in giving this kid time to develop? Will he stick with Cam Newton or not? Or will Cam Newton get the boot before the season even starts and maybe trade him somewhere else? I have no clue. It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that, though. I do have news out of the NFL as well. This is semi-interesting. How about that? That's a real hook to get people to listen. Tell them that you have something that's semi-interesting. The Falcons have signed former Texans and Bengals quarterback A.J. McCarron. So Matt Ryan, his new backup is A.J. McCarron. I just thought that interesting because another Alabama quarterback. So there you go. But no, nonetheless, I like that. Now, Justin Fields to Chicago. I give the Bears credit. You know how many teams? This is why I wish free agency. Do you like it set up this way? I wish free agency happened after the draft. or do you like it the way it is? The reason I say that is because you got to feel bad for guys like Andy Dalton and Cam Newton and some of these others who signed with these teams thinking in their head, oh, it's great. This is my team. Like Cam Newton, Patriots thinks it's his.
It would make
Andy Dalton.
It would make sense to have free agency after the draft, but
you got to move the draft up then.
Yeah, you want it. I mean, that's how the NFL dominates the calendar year. They have, the season, the Super Bowl hype and everything like that. Then they have the free agency period. Then they have the draft. Then it's mini camp. And then we have the season. So they got it all mapped out. I don't necessarily believe this is the right way to do it, but it's their way of doing it, and it works for them.
Teams get themselves in a bind. I'm not talking bad about the Bengals here, but I think they got themselves in a little bit of a pickle here because I believe they signed Riley Reif to that 1 year. Riley Reif, right? Yeah, Jesus, man. They're picking up where I left off earlier in the show. I believe they signed Riley Reif because of the fact that they felt the pressure of not signing an offensive lineman early, and then they settled for signing the tackle to a 1 year deal. And I do believe the 1 year deal with him got in their way of really wanting to pursue Sewell in the draft. And if the draft happens first, I think that the Bengals, no doubt about it, take Penei Sewell right away. And then afterwards, once you've signed your rookies, then you could plug the gaps with free agency as opposed to the other way around. And then you look at a team like the Bears who signs Andy Dalton, and everyone's like, oh man, we got Andy Dalton. But Andy Dalton's like, this is my team. I'm the starter. This is it. And then the draft happens, and now Andy Dalton is in a tough situation. Nick Foles is there as well. You look at, Cam Newton with the Patriots. I just think it would flow easier for teams if you have the draft for your needs, draft best player available, and then plug your needs with your free agent dollars, your cap space that you have allotted to you. I just think it's strange because the reason I say this, the draft is unpredictable. Like, what I mean by this is the Patriots had no clue they were going to get Mac Jones. They know they wanted Mac Jones. They wanted Justin Fields. They would love Trey Lance if he would have dropped to them. But when you pick number 15, you have no clue who's going to be available to you when it gets to that point. So imagine if you had the draft first. Okay, let's see if we're lucky enough to end up with one of these guys. Okay, cool. We got Mac Jones. We don't need to sign Cam Newton. Now we can go spend our money elsewhere. Instead, you signed Cam Newton. Oh, crap. We got Mac Jones here. Now we got to take him. Now we got to figure out what we want to do as far as that goes. I don't think the system's broken. I don't think it needs to be changed, but I do think it would make more sense so you wouldn't run into these awkward situations. I don't think the Bengals would have signed Riley Reif if the draft happens before free agency. I don't think that the Cam Newton ends up with the Patriots if free agency happens after the draft. And I also don't think that Andy Dalton would have been with the Bears. So
I think it has something to do with not wanting to leave your players in limbo. You got all these off-season mandatory and non-mandatory workouts and all that type of stuff. And the season, the NFL calendar starting at a specific date and everything like that. You probably want to have everything lined up going into the draft. I think that's what I read before about it. I'll try to find the article.
No, and here's the other thing. So, for instance, the Bengals right now, they gambled last night taking a wide receiver over Penei Sewell. You laid out the scenarios earlier that there are a lot of teams ahead of the Bengals as the second round gets started today that need offensive linemen. So, the Bengals are hoping they can get some of the top first round graded offensive linemen in the second round. But if those are all taken, now you took the wide receiver. You didn't end up with the number one prospect at your number one need. And now all the top offensive linemen are gone. And now you're settling for still decently graded guys, but not guys that you are going to totally change the fortune of your franchise with. To where if you had the draft first, the Bengals could have gambled like they did last night, taking Jamar Chase. And then, we're going to get more offensive linemen later in the draft. Because it's unpredictable, all of our top guys we wanted ended up getting selected before. Now, instead of them being screwed, now they can go plug the gaps with free agents, as opposed to, man, I don't know. I don't want to spend all of our money on free agents and then find out that we had a couple big names drop into our lap in the draft. I still would like free agency to happen after the draft. It won't change. It's not broken. The league's doing great. There's just a couple situations that I think could have been avoided had the things been reversed. That's all.
Justin Fields, Chicago, work or not work?
Gosh, I have no idea. I like the situation for him. I mean, that defense is ready to win. Like, Chicago's in a position to win now. I like Andy Dalton, but Andy Dalton's not your future. And I just don't understand. Like I said, this is going to be a prime example. I remember when the Browns drafted Baker Mayfield. They're coming off an 0-16 season. They get Tyrod Taylor in free agency, by the way, before the draft. They would not have signed Tyrod. And I promise you, there's a lot of teams like that. The Browns would not have signed Tyrod Taylor 3 years ago had they known who they were exactly going to get with Baker Mayfield at number 1. Okay, they take Baker Mayfield number 1. Baker Mayfield is ready to go, but the Browns tried doing the adult thing, right? Like, oh, we're going to start our veteran quarterback. We're going to let our rookie quarterback develop. That lasted 2.5 weeks. And I say 2.5 weeks because it was halftime of week 3 when they were right before halftime of week 3. And it's like we always do. Teams always try to do this. Oh, no, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to start our veteran. We're going to give our rookie time to develop. And then 2 or 3 games in, the pressure of the fans booing and the pressure of the front office forces the rookie to start. I just think that Justin Fields needs to be the starter in Chicago right off the bat. It doesn't need to be Andy Dalton. It doesn't need to be anything like that. It needs to be Justin Fields. Cut Andy Dalton, trade him, see if you can move him tonight's draft and maybe get late round picks. Justin Fields, it will work, but he has to be the starter right away. Don't handle him with kid gloves. No rookie quarterbacks are handled that way right now. There's no point. He's very intelligent. He could throw the hell out of the football. He knows what he's doing. I'm not saying he's going to win the Super Bowl right away, but just might get him some weapons. I mean, who do they have right now? Allen Robinson. I like him. Mm-hmm. Run game could be improved. That offense needs some work, but they have offensive-minded coaches, Kevin. That defense is top-notch as well. So I think that, yes, I think he can succeed. I think he'll succeed sooner than Trevor Lawrence will because of not where you're drafted necessarily, the order, but who you're drafted to. All right, the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland & Summers and Orion Sports Medicine. Let's go to the Facebook feed. Scott Whetstone on Facebook says, remember what Brady, you talked about the image, the body image for both. Remember what Brady looked like in his combine? He looked like Mac Jones. Tom Brady didn't look impressive, but he looked more impressive than Mac Jones. Let's just put it that way. Brady was undersized and slow with little mobility. But Scott, you got to think of how the quarterback position was played back then. You didn't need a lot of mobility. It was a pocket game. Like you just dropped, a couple drop step, and then you release the ball. Tom Brady was the prototype of what a quarterback was back then, right, Kev? Like Mac Jones, the same thing. Now you look at like Trey Lance didn't have the full body of work of Mac Jones, but because of what he could do athletically, Trey Lance, that's why he went so damn high in the draft and had a team trade up to get him, because the sky's the limit with what you can do with his abilities in that offense as far as that goes. So Scott goes on to say Cam will be done midseason and Mac Jones will get his chance. It's very typical. And he goes on to, someone else talked about being a Dolphins fan, so of course it's going to work and it's going to, the Patriots are going to take off and yada yada. So there you go. If you missed the ESPN 30 for 30 that I produced, don't worry. I got it covered for you. You got it lined up? We're ready to go as we head into this commercial break. I made this just for you Cincinnati Bengals fans. I just had 4 people message me on Twitter saying that they missed it, that they heard about it, they want to see it. Well, if you ask, you shall receive. Here is my latest ESPN 30 for 30 on the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm pretty excited about it. I worked really hard on it. We just can't have nice things. The embarrassing and sad story of the Cincinnati Bengals. Enjoy.
If the Cincinnati Bengals don't draft an offensive tackle, they should be disbanded and revoked from the NFL. They got to keep this guy upright and healthy. It was irresponsible what they did last year.
What if I told you that the Cincinnati Bengals learned nothing from Joe Burrow's season-ending injury in 2020?
Now Burrow, oh boy, clutching his left leg. Oh no.
With the number 5 pick overall and the best tackle available, the Bengals pick seems pretty obvious.
I don't think that there's even a question. When you have a shot at Penei Sewell, you take him and you keep your quarterback upright so that he doesn't get murdered every single Sunday.
But if Penei Sewell was sitting there, Joe Burrow's season ended because you couldn't protect him. And Joe was playing really well. To me, absolutely, it's a no-brainer. Protect your asset.
What if I told you that the Cincinnati Bengals failed Joe Burrow once again?
The Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase.
Oh, you've got to be f***ing kidding me. What a bunch of...
Hey, easy now. Easy. Voice guy, come on, stick to the script. Just read the script.
Oh, my bad. But seriously, what's wrong with them? Fix the O-line, man. Anyways... It's Justin Kinner's latest award-winning 30 for 30. This is why we just can't have nice things. The embarrassing and disappointing tale of the Cincinnati Bengals.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy and windy, a high near 66. Tonight's going to be mainly clear, also windy, a low around 36. And tomorrow's going to be mainly clear, a high around 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces around your home, office, or commercial property. Crack filling, asphalt sealing, and parking lot striping. Find us at culletsealcoating.com.
I'm Dr. Andrea Russo, a cardiologist. Maybe you're waiting to talk to your doctor right now. But if you're having an irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, don't wait. This could be a serious condition like atrial fibrillation, which can make you about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you're having these symptoms, don't wait. Talk to a doctor by phone, online, or in person.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the 3rd time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey Dayton, this is Dan First, 5th generation at First Florist and Greenhouses. Our garden center is now open for this season and full of beautiful garden plants, vegetables, and more. You'll be amazed at the quality and volume of plants in stock. So stop in and visit us at 1306 Troy Street in Dayton. Call us at 937-223-1213 or visit us online at firstflorist.com. That's F-U-R-S-T, florist.com.
Shop First Florist and Greenhouses, celebrating 116 years in business.
Your home for fun food, sports, and spirits is also the home for value. Frickers Everyday Value begins on Monday with boneless frickin'